Phone on silent.
All right,
here.
we're live.
Hello.
It's been a minute since I was
Right.
live on the channel, so I want to say welcome to everyone and stoked to be joined by these legends today or this morning. It's this morning for me anyway.
Yeah,
How's
this
everybody
is,
doing?
to find the right time that works for everyone in this group was interesting.
Yeah, not easy. There's literally the only time slot that worked, I think, other than having Dan stay up all night.
Yeah, thanks for staying up, Dan.
No problem.
It's not that late there yet, but
No.
Right.
It's like
I mean, and
nine.
I did wonder whether you kind of kept muso hours, Dan. So I kind of figured that a 9 p.m. start wouldn't be too bad for you, you know.
Yeah, it's not so bad for me. I'm like these days I'm more a morning person. I used to be a night owl, so you know, if I start getting slow, you can just fill in for me, you know.
This is what happens as you get older, man. You start going to bed a lot earlier.
Getting old sucks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Big time.
Oh yeah. So guys, this is a Q&A session, obviously. So we're looking forward to getting some decent questions in the chat that we can use as topics and dive into. But I guess we wanted to start just by asking Dave about the state of play in LA at the moment. I'm sure we're all very aware of what's happening there.
yeah, I've never seen it. It's a mess. It's just a mess. I've never ever seen this. I mean, we've seen fires, sure, that's normal every year. We have some, and sometimes they're devastating, and sometimes some houses are gone and this and that, but not like this. No, it's crazy. A word of advice. If you ever live in California, best to live somewhere very flat and far away from hills.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
How close did it actually get to you? How close did that actually get to you?
Really, not really close to me. Quite a ways away.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's coming over the hill a little bit, but like even Encino, which is where it was coming into next, is reasonably far away from me. It's devastating though. I know people that have lost everything essentially.
Horrific.
That's awful.
Yeah. So I mean, just like lost studios, lost, all the gear, everything other than what they might have grabbed, on the way out the door, and also like when we had that windstorm, I've never seen that either. That's like hurricane gusts of wind, essentially, almost just whipping through. I mean, half my neighbor's tree was in my yard, pieces of it, but like, that was crazy wind, like things are you're just hearing stuff hit the house, clunk, clunk, clunk all night. And that was the fuel. I mean, that you can just imagine start a fire in that, and
it's how it spread too, right? Like that.
Well, it just goes quickly, fast, really fast, because that wind will just push it. But yeah, I mean, I feel terrible for all these people. It's kind of weird. It's like I'm sitting here working on an amp for NAMM, and like so many other people are homeless, and just they're it's a weird feeling. Like your life is not changed, but many people have. Yeah. Drastically. Shame. Terrible.
You said Pete Thorne was doing donations on his live stream.
Yes, I don't know when his live stream is today or what he's doing, but he said he was going to do that, and he said he was going to do some donations to an animal shelter near his house in Pasadena. That's doing like a lot of great work and stuff. And likewise, we said if we were getting any money here today, that we'll donate it to some worthy cause.
There we go.
And
so they are on. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's many ways to do it.
Yeah.
So
we'll do that, guys. If anyone who takes the opportunity to drop a super chat we will find a suitable charity in the LA fires to donate to. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah. So guys, as I said, like do get into the chat with questions because we want to get into those. But I want to actually start by bringing Dan into conversation pretty early because I've Shea and Dave I've known for quite a few years now. But Dan, you and I, we've had a little bit of correspondence, but we haven't actually chatted and spoken about stuff. So, man, I'm really keen to understand what you've been up to in the last 6 months or so, man. Like, what did 2024 look like?
Oh man, busy. Lots and lots of mods, rebuilds, and you know what it's like when you're doing those. It takes up time.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
it's pretty much over the last good few years. It's just been pretty much flat out. You finish one batch and then the next batch come in and then it's on to the next one and on to the next one. So yeah, full on. I'm always playing catch up, to be honest.
That was me during the pandemic. I remember.
yeah, both
me
of
too.
us, yeah.
Constant, like
stack of Marshall sitting in the corner.
The front foyer of my house was filled with boxes. My wife's looking at me going, "Really? Hey, it's paying the bills."
Yeah, it was the same for me. Like when the pandemic kicked in, like at the beginning, it was slow for like 2-3 months, and then out of nowhere, just boom, it was just flat out work until it ended. Within probably, I don't know, 2 months, it looked like I had Ingve's live rig in my hallway. It was just amps as far as you go. Then in the bedroom there was amps, and then stacked up, and everywhere.
Right.
So yeah, it was crazy shit. But it's like you love what you do. I mean, this is the dream job. So
totally, man.
To have business like that is a dream come true. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of ever since then really just carried on that way. I'm not crazy active on social media and stuff like that, but the work keeps coming in. Like I'm not advertising anywhere, and it's just keeps going. So I'm like, well, great. I'm happy.
There's not a lot of people doing that. It's really cool seeing what you like. I always get real stoked when I see you post something because there's basically nobody's adding all of the stuff to the Marshall amps, like a single channel, and just like it's just decked out with like I don't even know how many knobs, like just so much work that you're doing in those amps, and really there's not a lot of people doing that. I mean, you can count them on.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows? But yeah,
we probably all are.
It's a ton of drilling, put it that way. I think you start to get carpal tunnel after a while from like squeezing the drill. So
oh yeah,
man, that is drilling into the chassis that's my least favorite job.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard work when you're freehanding it all the time, right? I mean, if you're drill pressing stuff, you can kind of if you've got blank chassis and your drill press.
Oh yeah,
it's not so bad, but when you're doing freehanding it, I mean, you even blink once at the wrong moment and it starts to wander a little bit, and then you've got to like rein it back in, and it's things like that. You just
the age old make the hole slightly bigger than the part.
Yeah.
That way you can wiggle it into being straight.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is
guilty.
True. Guilty. It's crooked. It drives you crazy.
We've all done it.
No, never happened to me, Dave. Never.
You gotta drill, and then you're like, okay, well that hole is way off, and that one's way off. So let's see, make both holes a little bit bigger, and I can wiggle the pots right where they're straight. Perfect.
It normally happens once you've got everything reassembled. It's back in the head shell, and then you look at it and you go, "Oh, hang on."
Oh, man.
And then if it's really bad, you just drill a bigger hole and get a washer.
Yeah.
Guilty. Done it.
I think we've all been there at least once at some point. But it's just
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. It's even super annoying, you know, when you're doing like little labels for every single control, and then you put it in the head shell, and you realize the whole front of the head shell lip covers every sticker.
Oh
And
yeah,
just
you gotta
sat
be
there for
careful of
like
that.
an
Oh, yeah.
hour, like
Also, if you do the little switches, little toggle switches, you gotta remember about that lip, because otherwise
Oh,
the
yeah.
switches.
Oh, dude.
So like it's
The
like
JCM 800 and the JMP lip, right?
yeah,
Even
Yeah.
those, I got caught out on that with the baby Marshalls, you know, the Studio series. I modded an SV20, the little plexi.
yeah,
Guy wanted a toggle on the front and added a simple clean channel to it. And I was like, it's all bloody mint. I've got the switch right there. Put it into the shell. I didn't realize it had that lip right across the front, right? And Dave, the toggle was right on the.
oh yeah, I've done this.
me too.
Oh,
We've done actually.
get the drill out.
I remember a couple times I really messed up, and then I had to get a little thin sheet of wood, painted it black, and mounted it in the head shell in the back, so that it lifted the chassis just a little bit, so
Mhm.
I could just make it work. Because there was no, it's like I don't want to take it out, put a hole plug, and that's ugly, and then oh my god, I just fucked this guy's amp up. Jesus, you know.
This is why
Yeah.
drilling chassis is the worst, man. It's not just having to do the work. It's not reversible. That's like
Yeah.
you get one shot.
The key is experience and knowing how you can fix the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You can fix the whole wandering quite quickly if you know what you're doing with it. You know, there's like old metalwork tricks and things you can do, you know, to draw it back in. But it's tricky, and you've only got a couple of steps on the step drill bit to get it right before it's too late. You know, and then it's just
Yes.
We don't do that anymore, guys. Everybody in the chat, we don't. Those are old days.
Oh
now.
no, this is all the learnings that now we're masters of the craft. Yeah.
yeah.
It's so funny now. It's like I'll watch it, like my guy that works for me, like I used to drill a lot of stuff, like back when I was doing rigs back in the 90s and stuff, right? We made our own power supplies and stuff, you know, pedal board power supplies and stuff. You know, that's like 8 to 10 holes in a bare box, and mounting everything and doing the whole 9 yards. And
That's a lot of work.
literally we're hand drilling everything. We had it down to a science. I've drilled so many holes in my life. At this point, I can almost like freehand and eye it and get it right. You know, like without measuring. And my employee still measures, and occasionally I just do it. He goes, "You're not going to measure?" I go, No, it'll be right. And then I check it later with the ruler. I'm like, see? It was right.
Yeah. You get a feel for it, definitely. You know, you do so much of it, sooner or later, you just becomes like a normal thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Dan, what's your
chassis punches where possible?
Oh yeah, you gotta have those. Like a center punch.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know what? I've got like a bag full of pieces of chassis in this, right? From probably a year ago. This is all the tubes I punched.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
And it finally went.
Make a wish, everybody.
Oh well, I'll clean it up later.
That's like I always said. It's like I wonder how many 1/4-inch ends I've soldered in my life. Like I think back when we were making rigs all the time, constantly, and I remember at one point in time the number of ends I bought a year was like 5,000. So 1/4-inch ends a year I would buy. So think of in my lifetime how many I've soldered.
Yeah,
that's
quite a bit,
man.
Just a few.
A huge amount.
So, question for Dan. I got a question for Dan. While we're talking about that, what do you? I see you mainly posting 100 watts on the mods.
Yeah.
What's your? So if like somebody contacts you, like what are you really after as far as what you're modding?
I mean, I like 50s as well, but the only thing is, a lot of times, if people want to send me 50s, they're usually saying, "Oh, can I send you like a mid 70s or late 70s JMP 50?" And they're really small chassis.
Yeah.
You know, there's not really much room to add loads of stuff, and they've also only got like I think not even 400 volts plate volts.
Yeah,
Like,
380.
yeah,
370, 380, somewhere around there.
yeah. I've had a few that came in that were even lower than that. So yeah, it's for me. I like the low plate voltage too for certain things, but for the high gain thing, I think you benefit from that like 450 upwards. Like it seems to be a sweet spot for what I like. And it's just got the immediacy. So usually it's things like, the JCM 800 100-watt heads are great. The right plate voltage, the right kind of internals in the donor. It's lots of space in there.
Lots of place for holes.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have,
I've seen some of yours where there's like all the way across, like holes on either side.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have like another 7 gain stages added just for shits and giggles, then I can do it if it's an 800. But if it's in a 50-watt, we're gonna have to start putting things on the head shell. So,
well, the trick of on the smaller box 50s, if it's a large head shell, I put the extra tube on the side, so it pokes out the side, and it works great that way.
Yeah, it's totally okay.
You must have seen one of mine, Shea.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Yep, I sure did, and I was like, I'm gonna try that, and it does work.
It works great. It works fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good. The only thing with those small ones is that if you're like putting tons and tons of gain in those things, and then you put like a loop in there and everything else, then you start running into a situation where you've got to start putting shielding in there.
Yep.
Yeah, bleeding and all sorts of stuff. Bleeding.
Yeah, I have to put so many shield plates inside amps. I'm like literally fashioning them up out of thin sheet metal all the time, and putting them in there. I make like a little room for the effects loop in the corner sometimes if I want to put other stuff elsewhere. And it's great. It just cuts out all the crosstalk and interference there. But yeah, so most of the time, it's usually the big box 100-watt plexis, JMPs, 800s. But then depending on what someone wants to have done, if it's not going to be like a complete rebuild, sometimes I've modded things like the vintage moderns and JVMs and all the other kind of
I did an Origin 50 too.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I've heard some great stuff from you with the Origin 50s.
No, I saw you do one. You did one, didn't you?
I did one. Probably like a year ago, I think. I've just not really had any requests for them because most of the time, if people are going for the smaller amps, they're usually reaching for the SV and SC20s. The mini 800s and stuff. Yeah, I guess they're so lightweight and convenient.
Yeah, and they come out great.
Thing. Yeah, exactly.
For you,
pretty good.
I guess for you too, Jan, the cost of the price of Marshalls, both new and on the used market, are relatively more affordable in the UK than they are for us in Australia or the US. So
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean it just depends on the market any given time, and if you buy from like specific like amp dealers, you're going to pay top dollar for it. Whereas if you scour the used market, you can find much better prices. So yeah, from what I can see, most of the time the prices in the UK are usually way better especially for the older Marshalls.
Yeah.
If you want anything that's before 76, then the UK is definitely the place to get it.
Yeah.
Because
it's just so many more. There's so much more of them too, right? Over there, I would imagine, than there are.
Well, there probably are. There's probably more of them here. But just generally, the prices on them are not insane like some of the prices I see in the US on like Reverb and everything. People are paying like literally like 3-4 grand sometimes for like an early 80s JCM 800 or some crazy shit. It's like
no,
it's ridiculous. Like you can buy them here for a fraction of that price.
Yeah. Do you have customers from overseas that ask you to source an amp locally so they don't have to ship?
Pretty much always. 90% of the time it's a case where I normally end up just buying stuff in. If I see stuff you know, on the used market, I grab it because I know that I'm going to have customers who want it, and it's more convenient if I already take the risk. If I buy it, I get it in, I can inspect it, I go through it first with a fine-tooth comb. I can make sure everything's exactly as it should be, and then it's like it takes away the risk and the hassle, you know, because if your customer doesn't really know enough about this stuff, they might end up buying something and they find out, oh, all the transformers were replaced, everything inside was replaced, and then they've paid the kind of money you'd be paying for a clean example. And you know, I don't really want that. I just want them to have what they, you know, the good stuff and not get screwed. So I usually buy in stuff and I sit on it until it comes to time to sell it to a customer.
Yeah.
Where do you source from? Do you is it like eBay or Marketplace or what?
Yeah, eBay, Marketplace. There's a few forums in the UK that I sometimes use. Sometimes Reverb. Reverb's okay now and then, but if deals go sour, then it's pretty bad on Reverb. At least with eBay, you can kind of just make a complaint and prove your point and you get your money back. Whereas, you know, it's not the case with Reverb. But so usually I just source the stuff in, keep it, and I've got it ready to go as soon as someone from overseas wants one. Because probably 90% of my customers are all overseas.
Here.
Oh, really? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's pretty much like mostly Americans, Europeans, and some in Japan. I've had some in Australia. It's kind of all over the place. So,
do you do mods by request, or you just say, look, I've just got here's my standard mods, 1, 2, 3, pick one, you know?
Well, there is that option for guys who just already heard something, you know, that one of their friends has got, and they're like, oh man, I want that one with whatever other options you can put with it. And then the thing is, I always ask people, like, what kind of sounds are you looking for? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Because otherwise, if they just order something that worked for their friend, I mean, it's cool, it's going to sound great, but it might not be really the right thing for them. If they tell me exactly what they're into, and maybe they say, oh, I had these amps in the past and I didn't really like them very much, so I don't want something that's going to have that kind of voicing. I like this more. It makes my life way easier, because then I can just say, all right, well, you might like this, but can I put a spin on something, because I know this version of that would suit you better. You know, so like many times I'll ask people, you know, do you want to do something a bit more custom? But the only thing is, when certain mods that you do get popularity, a lot of times people just contact you and they just say, oh, I want that one. I want that one, you know, that one and this and this and that and whatever. And you can't persuade them otherwise.
And they almost ask for every single option that you can possibly add to it. Please add and put it on a switch.
And put it in a small box 50.
Put it all in the small box 50.
Oh, I want all that in an SV20. Thanks.
Exactly. I want 3 channels in an SV20, you know. So
another pearl of wisdom with buying used amps, or anyone's amps that come in, make sure they're really healthy and they work before you ever start modding them. Because there's nothing worse than modding it and then discovering all the problems that you didn't anticipate later.
Big time. It's a good idea to turn it on before.
Make sure it's all healthy and you get it all nice and good and healthy first, to service it and do whatever you need to do to it, and then mod it.
Absolutely.
You know, because that's a good pearl of wisdom for years of doing it.
I've been down that road before.
That'll bite you in the ass. Quick. Yeah, it'll bite you in the ass. It's like, all right, well, this amp now I've spent far too many hours on, and I have lost money at that point.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. There's a couple of super chats here that I want to get to. So, as I said, guys, appreciate this, because we will donate this money. John is here. Hey, John. Good to see you, man. John Deshain. John's had his Alpha for a couple of months. It was one of the ones that I built in Shea's workshop. It was early December, wasn't it, mate? around
Mhm.
that time. Brad is here. Hey,
Brad.
How are you, mate? So stainless steel chassis, we know all about this, Shea.
Yeah, that would be a regret.
You know, it's an interesting thing. So we use them for a minute. They're great if you know production amp and you've ironed out every single kink and you know like you're not going to have to touch it. If you have to drill one of those things,
Yeah, so that all started, or at least from what I know, it started from remember the brand Mojave
yeah,
Ampworks, right? So
Yeah.
they had stainless steel chassis with crazy military metal film resistors and all this stuff, and generally they it was a really well made amp, a little stiff sounding, but it was a really well made amp. Yeah, if you get the chance to mod one of those and have to drill a hole in it, you just say no. You're not getting the 4 gain stage, you're getting the 3, okay? Sorry. No extra holes drilled. Oh my god.
You soon find out how good your step bits are when you have to sit in with a stainless steel chassis.
It's almost impossible. It's like you maybe can get through it, maybe. But forget the step bit after that. It's done.
Well, man, because that stainless steel, like the hotter it gets, the tougher it gets. It's just like
it's like a work hardness, isn't it?
Yeah. Forget it, man. Here's an interesting question. Looks like we got all the Marshall guys in the room to answer this one. What is that glass crashing sound that we all love from a crank Marshall?
The glass crashing.
Some people call it kerrang, I guess, or
kerrang.
Yeah. There's the stock amp is just everything cranked. The power supply is just fucking sagging and everything, and it's lovely.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking epic. Because it when you smack that chord, it just goes like it just comes right back at you really viciously, and it's there. I mean, we all do gain and preamp gain and this and that, but man, a great non-master volume amp on 10, man, there's nothing really like how that responds to your playing.
It'll scare you.
Cleans up, sparkly, beautifully clean, like almost like nicer clean than you could even make on anything. And then you pull up the volume knob on the guitar and it just roars. And it's
100%,
awfully
man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Isn't that like at the end of the day, that's actually the quest, isn't it? Like designing or building an amp that has all of those characteristics.
Yeah, but you can't,
with a master volume.
Have it all.
You can't have the hands for it as well.
Well, this is true, man.
You gotta have the hands for it. Yeah.
If you
do
plug into one of those things and you can't keep up with it, it will just it takes you for a ride.
You'll look at the amp and go, is that broken?
Yeah.
I've had that experience with someone before. It's like that amp sounds great and he's playing it and you're like listening to it and you're like, did it break? I think something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the thing that causes people to say they don't like Marshalls? Because I've got a bunch of customers that are like that. They just like, I don't like Marshalls, and I said, like, but
I mean, I grew up playing, like, I'm not a crazy great player, but I mean, I grew up playing amps like that in bands and things, and like it's not like I'm a virtuoso lead player guy, but rhythm, with how the chords sound and how the amp reacts is all I'm really into that. And I learned early on how that works. It's like where to pick, how to pick in a certain way, it'll do this tone, pick in a different way, it'll do this tone, and dynamics and rolling the volume knob off. But I grew up in a time where this is like the norm. So, and now the norm is a modeler.
Mm-hmm.
where people don't. It would frighten the living shit out of someone that just grew up playing a modeler to play through a beast of a Plexion 10, like Eddie Van Halen style. I've seen it happen, and it's like the guitar's squealing and everything's like, what do I do? What do I do?
You can
You
always
roll the
tell.
volume knob off. That's what you do.
That's
You
right.
palm mute it. That's what you do.
Yeah. You know what? Like I started like really getting big into guitar like around the time when modelers were first really coming in, like the very, very beginning of it, like the pod, the V amp, all those kind of things. And I remember I had one, and it was like I could do anything on that. It was like you could play anything, and it was effortless. And then I remember when I got my first real amp, which was a 50-watt JSM 800. And I was just not prepared for it. I remember plugging in, and even with a super overdrive hitting the front end, I was just feeling like, oh my god, I've lost like 10 years of my abilities in like 2 seconds. It's just I was just terrible all of a sudden, you know. And then after a while though, you start to realize like, okay, I'm getting it. It's like I'm kind of learning how to get the best from it, and then sooner or later it just clicks, and then you can't go back.
Yeah, make your playing is cleaner. You know, you're playing, especially like an 800. I mean, an 800 doesn't have a lot of gain. No. You know, it's light on gain. Yeah. But yet there's plenty of guys out there that have used an 800 and you know, it sounds great for them. Again, I think, you know, we all do high gain, but there's something to be said for less gain equals more dynamics and more punch, just like compression and stuff. It's the same scenario. It's like if you have like a great sounding older record that it's not hyper compressed, you can turn that up on the stereo so loud and it never gets bad. It only just gets better, you know, it only gets better. But then you take a hyper compressed newer piece of music and you start turning it up and you're just like, ow, God, it hurts. It's like, you know, it just sounds like shit, you know, up loud, you know. Sounds pretty good down low, but it sounds like shit up loud.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, you know, even if you, you know, take like Jimmy Page or something, you know, and that wasn't gamey. It was really punchy though, and really like
it's clean.
It attacks you, you know. And the funny thing is, if you sit there and play with an amp with less gain for a long period of time, all of a sudden it has the sustain you need. It has everything because you've learned how to play it. And once you learn that, you can totally make it sound, you know, amazing.
You get used to it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's the right term. Play it, right? Like to me, it's part of the instrument. Like the guitar and the amplifier together that's electric guitar. If you're not plugged into an amp, it's just a box. It's just a piece of wood with some strings on it. You know. Like,
well, yeah, absolutely. And there's no dynamics to it all. So, so the thing you learn with the less gain is how to play your guitar to give you the sounds you want out of the amplifier.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, if I smack the guitar harder, I get more distortion and more aggression. Oh, if I play light, I get it cleaner. Okay. But if you like say plug into a modeler, you know, on a rectifier patch, let's just say hypothetically, it doesn't matter how hard you hit it or how light you hit it. It still sounds the same all the time.
Volume,
just like a flat line. Yeah. So
the old 5150 Mark III digital model that's in every single.
Yeah, line 6 insane patch, wasn't it, or something? You know?
Yeah. Something, whatever that was. Yeah.
That's the one.
Hey, wait, I got one more question for Dan, real quick.
Go for it, man.
Production amp. Do you have any plans to do a production amp in the future? Like to do some like a run of production?
It's definitely been on my mind. To be honest, I just haven't really put it into action because I've just been swamped all the time with mods.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of trying to juggle two things is quite tricky.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, down the line, it's definitely something that I want to do. It's logical, really, to have something like that, to design it and make it happen and do that. Even if I'm still going to be doing mods, you know. So yeah, it's definitely something that I would like to make happen.
That'd be cool, man. I hope to see you do that.
Yeah, I would,
The real question is, do you really make any more money by doing that?
Yeah,
That's the real question. My answer is maybe not.
who knows? That's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't want to say.
I don't know. Like if you did a direct sales model, Dan, then it's probably
it makes sense maybe then. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you will be fine.
Yeah.
You will be fine, I'm sure.
Once you start down a larger path with dealers and everything,
yeah,
then it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely don't think I'd want to be headfirst in.
Yeah, that's
You know?
They take quite a bit, man.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big percentage.
I don't think in today's business model, certainly for the scale that I'm at or Shea's at, or you too, Dan, like you don't need it.
Yeah.
All you need is you need some YouTube stuff. You need you need some presence out there, but you can deal with people directly.
Yeah.
Well, they'd be gone. I mean, if you made a run of production of 20 amps, they're gone same day.
You'd have them sold before you
gone.
even pick up your soldering on. That'd be
Then you have
gone.
to make them though.
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Then you have to make them, and then you're like,
you gotta make them.
how can I make this easier to make? And that's the next thing that'll come up to mind.
That's
a whole different ball game.
It's all about it's all about getting it to happen without like all the extra work on your plate. Yeah, but no, it's definitely something that I would like to do. You know, it's a case of having some extra time to do it. But yeah, it would be really fun. I got plenty.
It's expensive too. I mean, it costs a lot of money, but guys that are, the pre-order model is working pretty good, and I think guys are understanding, like the pre-orders that are coming for small businesses and stuff. Like, I remember when I first did my pre-order, it was so stressful. I'm like sitting here holding $25,000 of other people's money, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to make all these amps. But it worked out really good. But luckily the guys that were into that are patient and they understand. Yeah,
that's
especially
the only thing with no, sorry.
I was just going to say, taking money and then not delivering amps, because that's never been done in this industry, right?
Oh no, that's never happened at all.
Never happened before.
No.
Yeah, that's why I'm always hesitant to ever take anything ahead of time. I kind of avoid it like the plague, just in case. I don't
like it either.
I mean, if they give you $100 deposit or something, that's not that big of a deal, right? But if and they wait a while, but if it's a large sum of money or half and they wait a really long time, it becomes a problem. People are starting to get
it's stressful on our end too. I mean, I'll take deposits when I have every single thing here, like like everything's already here, like there's no missing pieces. Then I'll take a deposit, then we're good, right? But if you're taking deposits and you haven't even ordered transformers that are going to take 3 months to build, like it gets dicey right there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same also when you're doing like mods and rebuilds and you're sourcing amps for people, and if they turn around, they're like, oh, here's the money, go find me one. And if you're sitting there with their money, for a while, if you can't find one, and it doesn't always feel good. That's why I keep stuff in stock ready to go, and then that way I don't have the problems. But even still, I don't know about you, but it changes my mindset shifts a little bit when I get paid up front. I don't always like it as much because I like getting paid at the end, because it's like dangling the carrot at the end of the job, and then that way I'm like really like I'm totally on it. It just shifts your mentality a little bit when you've got to like work a little bit, you know, harder
Oh
to
yeah,
to get
absolutely.
towards it. I think it's way better. I don't know. It's just for me. It's just
I
maybe
agree,
the
man.
way I work.
No, it's, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. That's
you
not
if
just
you do the
you.
job, you get the money. It's like that's the classic model, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, you get the
I
job.
like it.
Yeah,
It's
you
old
get the
school,
job,
though.
you get the money, and then you don't want to do the job.
Yeah,
That's
it can be that way.
The motivation's all gone.
That's
I
it,
mean,
man.
Yeah.
you get it. You get your shit together sooner or later, and you make it happen. But the point is, it's just if you know you've got to like shift your ass and really get moving and get working, it's great. It's a good feeling. It's like a really good motivator.
Sure.
That's it.
Plus, I want to enjoy it.
All right, we got Dave. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate
What's
that,
up,
man.
Dave?
We'll put that
Dave?
that money to good use, man.
Mhm.
Someone here loves Monomyth amps. That's cool.
Thank you.
Question from Sessions with Jeff Jason. Do you know any amp techs around Brisbane? Yeah, Fender Deluxe, don't know, but if you should check out BJ amps. He might be a bit north of Brizzy. I'm not 100% sure, but good guy, amazing tech. Definitely look him up. If you can't find him, just send me an email and I'll send you his details. Calypso Amps is here. Hey, man. Thanks for that.
Hello.
Appreciate that. I've been watching your stuff on Instagram.
Hey.
I have to have a chat with him sometime.
Yeah, I know you've got a new amp out there that's been demoed a couple of times. Sounds killer.
Yeah.
Simon's here. Hey, Hoss. How you doing,
Simon.
man? Early Monday morning, you and me. Question for Dave. The Edge, I guess. Didn't you work on U2's guitar rigs years ago?
No, I didn't. Nope.
Who did?
A million years ago, it was Bob Bradshaw that was doing all the stuff.
That makes sense.
I think still to this day he does stuff. I on and off. There was a skid strip too for that's hard to say sometimes. That had done some stuff with them, but then I think it went back to Bob eventually. So, yeah. Nope, not me.
All right. Dave is back here. Shea, there you go, man. I'm serving to your corner now.
I do.
Do you have a 2-channel amp coming soon?
I do. Yep. I've got a new production amp coming this year.
When's the 4-channel going to come?
The 4th channel. So Jason will probably get there next, right?
He's just need gain, more gain, even more gain, and stupid fucking gain. Right?
And a clean
never
channel.
have too much.
No clean channel.
Oh, come on. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I've it's done. The prototype's done. It's a 2.5 channel amp. So it's got like a switchable, it's going to have a foot switchable clean channel and a foot switchable lead boost, but it's kind of like a 3rd channel too. And I'm super excited about it because, you know, it's the skeleton key. I've been doing that it's been in production for 4 years, 4 or 5, I don't know, 4 years. And so this will be my second production amp, and it's got 100 watt. Everybody's been asking me for a 100 watt amp, so it's coming. And man, it's so I'm just super stoked on it. Jason played it. I remember when Jason played it when he was here, I looked at him and he almost looked a little worried. So I knew it was really good.
I was just happy that it all worked, man.
Yeah. You designed, you know, you did the PC, you know, the layout and all that stuff, and we went back and forth through all this, and couldn't have done it without Jason, man, because like it's this, you know, the skeleton key is simple. It's a simple, you know, basically like a JCM 800 style high gain amp, and this one is relays and all that good stuff, man. A clean channel, and yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to have a finished product and post it and put some out there.
Sounds really cool. How does it
Yeah.
differ to the skeleton key? Like tone-wise, maybe. Like,
It's got more gain.
oh,
Dave.
oh God.
It
Great.
does, yeah. So it's got I feel like,
Has it got diodes?
yeah, of course. But yeah, it's
low voltage diodes.
this one sure does. It sure does. But it's got some other stuff going on too. It's got, honestly, it's I kind of went when the skeleton key it's like, you kind of like when you're doing this stuff, you kind of go this one direction with your, you kind of go this direction and then you're over here and then you're doing stuff over here. And I kind of like stepped back with this one and like went to some stuff that I was kind of doing a little bit, but never really went that direction with it.
Yeah.
And then took new information that I've gotten from doing all the mods and stuff and incorporated that stuff and just ended up completely somewhere new, which is, it's awesome, man. I think I'm stoked. I think the guys are gonna fucking love this amp, and I'm just super stoked on it.
Yeah, man, I bet.
That's killer, man. Is your man here with the Origin 50, Dan? Shea, you mentioned that. Oh, sorry,
nice.
Dan. You said that you modded on Origin 50. It must be this one.
Yes.
Nice.
You've only done one.
Yeah, that one was great. Yeah. Hey, Marco.
They're kind of a pain in the ass to mod.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like it's like the architecture of that damn amp is so. What were they thinking? I mean,
I have no idea.
I mean,
man.
it's just like I always have to tell people. I go, okay, so like you're gonna lose your loop. All right. Well, wait, why? I'm like, because I need the tube, and then if you want a loop, we're gonna have to charge you for a loop on top of that, and it just there's so much reworking involved.
Yeah, it was a lot of work
in that.
Yeah, it was a lot of extra work with that one.
Yeah, I mean, if you can kind of keep it down to not adding crazy gain and adding another tube, and you can kind of keep it down to the what's there, and even maybe not even add a loop if you can avoid it.
But you know me, like I can't just.
You gotta add the loop, but you want
it to sound like, I mean, if it's going to have your badge on it, right, it's got to sound like something decent. And the issue with those amps is that there's a whole mod required just to get it to the starting line.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where you would pick up any other Marshall and that would already be like that, and then
I've done like 25 of them so far, maybe more. I've done a lot of those.
Well, then you have it down.
Yeah, I've got it down.
Yeah.
Everyone's
now though we can just replace the board, right?
This is true.
Yeah, you did. You put that out there, which is cool. I haven't seen too many people post that.
So there's been he's Alex here.
Yeah, Alex
Alex, if anyone doesn't know, Alex designed a printed circuit board that is a drop-in replacement for the Origin. He's got a 20 and a 50 footprint because they are slightly different. And it's a straight up JCM 800 architecture, already straight out of the box with a few mods, right? So there's like cathode bypass switches and shit like that you can put in there, switchable diodes, things like that. So
yank that board out and throw it away.
Yank the old one out and put a new one in, right? So pretty cool project for a DIY guy that doesn't want to hack up the stock.
It'd just be faster.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah, just be faster. I mean,
and I think a higher chance of success if you're inexperienced, right? Because there's certainly a number of people that have tried this mod.
Oof.
And then turn their amps on and they have no sound.
It's all your fault, Jason.
I know. So saying that very cautiously, knowing that I'm the guilty party here.
That's not the amp you want to start in, for sure. You don't want to start there. And there's a lot of people doing that.
Not the easiest thing to mod, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Got a super chat here from Michael. Thank you, man. Jason, how would the Evil Joe amp be different or similar to Dave's upcoming Jose? It's more of a mod. It is a Jose, but I guess it's more of a similar to the more modern variants on that. In other words, it doesn't have a normal channel. So if you think of the Jose as a gain stage in front of the plexi, where you'd retain the treble channel and the normal channel, and you can still blend, it doesn't have any of that, right? It's basically just set up like you were running into the normal channel. It's got other things in there that the Evil Joe's got a high voltage FET as a switchable gain stage out front, so it's not using a triode.
Nice.
Just something slightly different there. So
sounds good too.
But this is a good segue into us hearing from Dave actually.
Oh no!
Because I got a phone call from Dave yesterday with the discovery that he had just made on the.
Yeah, don't when you're designing a new product and you're short on time, don't try something that you've never kind of done before. It's a bad idea.
A week and a half before NAMM or something.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. So I wound up using different style resistor than I normally use. And in the end, I turned the amp on. It's all working, it's all basically working. I got to tweak it a little bit, but I'm like listening to it. And I'm like going, man, it just doesn't quite sound right. It's like, doesn't quite sound right. And I'm like, fuck, it's the normal caps I use. It's normal this I use. And it's like, it's these fucking resistors.
Metal film.
Yeah. It's these fucking particular, the PR0 series resistors. I did it throughout the entire amp.
Yeah.
And because I thought it'd look really cool with the black boards, which it would.
The red one.
Yeah,
the
with the red ones. But it would
dude.
look really cool with the black boards. But they have this like harshness to the top end in them. They're like very present on the top end, and maybe you could come up with, I always say this is a teeter-totter, right? So like you can use a certain group of parts, but maybe you're going to then change the capacitors in the amp to made up better with these parts and sounds right. And then maybe you get the same result in the end. Maybe.
Yeah.
But isn't what I knew, isn't what I wanted it to sound like. It was just like, so yesterday I wound up changing every resistor on the whole entire board. An hour and a half or 2 hours of time gone.
Damn. Yeah.
And then I was on a
as
mission.
well.
Okay, I got to finish it before I leave.
Wow.
And then a minute I turned it on after and hit one chord, I'm like, it was the fucking resistors. It was the fucking resistors. God damn it. It was all there. And then it's just fine tuning from there,
Yeah, but something else with those, they burn in differently too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they have a little bit of a burn into them, those resistors.
That's too
but
fucking.
Then, yeah, but it's like if it's not going to work for that recipe that you're doing, then it's like if you already have the right part that is going to be more.
I don't want it to burn in. You know what I mean? It's just like it just didn't work. Just didn't work. So back to 1 watt carbon films.
Yep. They're not robust resistors to work with anyway. If you put a piece of pliers on one of those resistors, like the outside,
they're really kind of crumbly, aren't they? Like the
you need the nylon coated pliers when you work with them. Yeah. So you don't like.
Do you use them, Dan?
Yeah, I've used them a lot, but not
fully.
Not for everything.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's like Dave was saying, you find like there's certain combinations that work.
Yeah.
Certain things, certain circuits they work in, certain things they don't work in. Or even there might be 1 or 2 key positions in an amp that you really like them in, but then you might use carbon films in every other spot. It's like you have to kind of balance everything out, and it's like you're seasoning a dish in the kitchen. You might want a little bit of that, a little bit of this, but it doesn't work in every dish.
Yeah.
So
and it's the same, capacitors are like that too, and to some extent. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you make 2 amps with 2 different sets of parts completely, and then put both through an amp switcher on a bench and dial them in almost exactly the same? The answer is probably yes.
Yeah.
but sometimes it's a feel thing. It's like it's hard to explain sometimes unless you're feeling it, and
Was that the
like
main
how
when
it compresses or how it just sounds and sustains and things, and you just
when
know
you
right
first powered
away.
it on, Dave, when you
Huh?
first powered that amp on, was it yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was the thing that struck you? The very first thing?
It sounded good. It sounded good, but it had like this presence on the top end, like really high highs that were just like more prevalent than normal, and it seemed a little grainier sounding in general than what I wanted it to be. Because there's a bass for me. There's a bass, and it starts with, maybe this started from modding amps for so many years. It's like you have a great old Marshall, right? And it sounds great, and you're tacking a mod onto it. It's like, so your home base is that great old Marshall. So you want this, if this is what you're going for, you want this amp to sound like that great old Marshall with your circuit in it.
Yeah.
So I think I've learned certain parts and certain things work really well. Like when I did the Plex amp, try to get that to sound like my old amp, I got to a point where I can do that. I can make it sound just like that old Marshall. So then that group of parts that I like, don't change that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
Don't change that. Maybe a errant resistor here and there, because I like capacitors. So like in this high gain diode clipping pre-tone stack master circuit. So that capacitor that comes off the cathode follower there. Well, one, what value? They sound different.
We know what you like,
depending on which value. Well, no, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, they all sound good. It just I actually did that earlier today, like put it on a decade box and sat there and go, all right, 0.1, 0.22, 0.33, 0.47, 0.68.
Yeah.
Now I know like Mike Fortin was used the 0.68 a lot, I have no idea what you use, Dan.
It varies.
0.33 seems to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's usually what I'm
0.22 or 0.33, but they sound a little different from each other. So I'm just like,
they do. Signal passes through that capacitor.
Yeah, so but it's interesting. It's sort of the opposite happens to the signal what you think would happen. So like it seems like the lower the value of the capacitor is, the more bass it has, and the more top end it has, and then as that cap goes up, the more the mids come up.
It can be.
It could be the mids. There's definitely some tonal differences there.
Yeah,
big time. You can tell.
0.22, 0.33. Okay, yeah, that's probably the
safe spot.
One of those two is probably.
Yeah.
I think I settled on 0.33 actually.
A good one.
And in the original Jose amps, I saw both of those. So that it was almost interchangeable. So it's probably whatever he had on hand.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the material also throws things.
Yes. And what kind, that's where I was headed with this. I go, what kind of cap is there is interesting too.
Yeah.
So I had like a Wema pet cap, and then I had a Panasonic cap. And I didn't try actually something else other than that, but I tried those too. They were radically different in how they sounded. Same value.
Yeah.
Radically different.
Which did you prefer?
Yeah, did you
I
like
actually preferred the Panasonic.
Bingo. Same.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
Panasonic has more attack to it. The Wema, actually, Wema caps in general sound a little dull to me.
Yeah, they're smooth, I think.
They're kind of smooth sounding and a bit dull. But in some things that could be good. Like I had a Wema cap in the presence circuit, and actually that's kind of quite nice in the presence circuit, because that little bit of smoothness on there actually kind of helped out in the harshness that sometimes you hear.
Yeah, or if you use like metal films, it works good with those. You know, like if you use the
metal
you know,
films with Wema caps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like they just
teeter totter. Yeah, back and forth. Yeah,
This
just
is
like
this is the balance. Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is the
yeah,
balance.
it's the
They say.
balancing act.
So these resistors are harsh. Okay, then put the Wemas in. Okay, well that balances it out.
Sure.
Can be.
Interesting.
You know.
So Dan, are you most of your stuff these days, is it pre-tone stack, or have you gone to more like just, you know, standard gain stages and with a post-tone stack master?
It depends.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, obviously, if it's a Jose mod, if it's like a Jose replica or a Jose inspired thing, then it's if it's not going to be like a switchable push-pull master with both types on it, I typically like the pre-tone stack one. If I'm doing like the Killer Cali mod, that's plate driven.
Right.
That's a 4 gain stage plate driven thing. Once upon a time, I did do it with a cathode follower, but years down the line, I experimented with the plate driven one and liked it more, so I stuck with it. But then other things had to be changed to work with it. You know, there was other changes as well that I found that then made it just overall better. But then like other mods, the post tone stack, you know, works good. Yeah, it just really just depends on the mod, the sound someone's after. I always find like if guys want that really over the top aggressive thing, I always feel like the pre-tone stack really like hits the spot, because like that it's like if you've got a cathode follower, obviously, you know, like it tends to, you know, it tends to be really cool. But yeah, if I'm doing like a plate driven thing, I mean, that thing's just insane already as it is. So
Yeah,
that's like post tone stack, and it works.
You know,
It's a lot easier to interface with a loop, in my opinion.
Really?
You don't have send levels going up and down. It's
100%.
like you can just, yeah, you can lock your send level in, and it's basically a return level, isn't it? You know, you're master at that point, so it works good. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
This is one of the things that, like, if anyone's getting into modding, and there's a lot of guys doing DIY in that Facebook group that Alex and I admin, and if you see people putting comments in there after they've tried a pre-tone stack master for the first time, and one of the most common questions that you get in there are all like, you know, that kind of more like an observation to begin with, which then becomes a question, which is, when I put the volume on 0, I can still hear it.
yeah.
Welcome to Bleed.
Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole that you've got to dive into.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever gets absolutely perfect.
I got it perfect.
Get it close.
I got one perfect.
Yeah.
This one, the skeleton key is a pre-tone stack, and it is, you put it on 0, it's 0. But it's all about that layout. Yeah, it's all about the layout, man.
Which is, you know, and that the learnings in that layout evolved over a year or two of trial and error, you know. A lot of PCBs thrown away.
Drive you crazy.
Yeah,
man.
it's it's rough because you know, that signal just jumps everywhere, all over the place. So yeah, I mean, this new amp's almost perfect, almost just a little bit, but mine are enough where I'm not sure I care.
I think most of the guys that
I mean, like, it's pretty minor.
Most of the guys
with
are
that master is
like,
the thing with that Jose master as well is like, if you've got bleed all the way up to about like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and you can hear it there, I mean, that's not really the
You mean like the originals?
I was going to say, you're going to do a tribute that day, but it has to have a lot of bleed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it's bleeding past
part of the tone, man.
You're going to be cranking it loud anyway, right? So
yeah,
it's like once you hit it loud.
Holy shit! Some of the originals were so epically terrible as far as that goes. It was like, wow.
But surely also the other thing is like the pot that you used probably didn't fully like ground out like a 0. You know what I mean?
This is it, man. Can be,
because I saw a few of them like where he was playing with like resistors in line with that to try and kind of get it you know, you can see there's like attempts there to do something about it, but I think he was attacking it the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's more about a proximity to where
Totally.
where the wires are running, and if they're shielded, if they're not, where the cathode resistor is, and it shouldn't be on the pot like the originals were. And it's still hard to do it, and make it all work with a loop. And it's just how far can you get things away? That's the question. And so I mean, this new amp that I have it has a 3-way switch on it, so it does the gain style switch. So it does the traditional like 3-in-1, and then it does the 3-in-1 deal, but with the clipping diode still attached, like it would have been in the original. And then it does the pre-tone stack with the clipping diodes. So that's fun actually on a switch. And then of course the pot values I changed to compensate the level a bit. So don't use an audio taper on the pre-tone stack. I didn't use reverse because I don't need to. I used a linear.
It
worked fine.
It depends on how low voltage your Zenas are. I think if you
it's not actually. The funny thing is, if you set the pots the same, with the linear pot, it's 20 volt Zeners. So with the linear pot, it's actually pretty close to the same level, if not maybe a little louder with the pre-tone stack. Actually, with the linear pot, with the 20 volt. If I go less, obviously, that'll adjust the level. But I'm doing this traditionally, so I'm not trying to make this be something changed from the original circuit, really, So
this is almost, Dave, like, I don't know whether you're going to label it this way, but it's almost like your vintage line. It's kind of, when I think of this amp, I think of it in terms of the vintage line that you have on.
I mean, it's like a tribute amp, So the amp has 2 different presence circuits. So the vast majority. So I don't know. I'm guessing like 100 Jose's now. So out of all surprisingly, not a lot of those had the clipping diodes in it.
No.
There's a vast majority that he didn't do that in. But depending on the era amp he did them on, so a lot of those amps were done on either older amps, but a lot of them were really grouped in the mid 70s. Like a lot of the Jose's were mid 70s amps, like 74, 75, so that era. So in a lot of the amps I've seen, it's the 5K newer style presence with a 0.68 cap. A lot of them I saw that way. Like the Mick Mars amp was that way.
Right.
I like both. It's just a different sound. But it's really interesting. I've got it so you can flick between a switch and you got 2 different presences on it. So you can choose which one you want to use. And depending on what sound you're on the amp, you might choose to use the opposite one. Like the 0.68 sounds really pretty good on the on just the basic extra gain stage mod. Sounds pretty good that way. On the highest gain pre-tone stack master thing, I like the 0.1 better on that. But it's sort of also interesting when you're switching between the two, how much louder actually the newer style presence circuit is than the vintage style presence circuit. When you switch between it, you're like, what? Oh, look at that. Interesting.
That's never a test I've done.
Yeah, I'll have to show you the circuit that I did, which is really nifty little circuit that you can easily do it on.
How much louder do you think it is?
It's like a couple dB. It's louder.
Really?
It's interesting. It's totally interesting. So essentially, like, to get into the deep part here.
Oh,
so
please
you make the vintage presence, right? So then, your pot is the resistor to ground for the cathode follower. That's the tail resistor. So that's the 5K tail resistor, right? Normally in a newer style, you'd have a resistor in its place. And then, so you keep that pot as that resistor. So all you're doing is you're lifting the 0.1 cap from ground with a big resistor. You're lifting it from ground. And then the other one is all set up already where it's a 5K pot that's a variable rheostat in series with the 0.68, right, to ground. And you're just switching the tail of that to in. So you're just taking the switch and just flip-flopping. But using the first 5K pots as the resistor that's there all the time. So it's new or old. I mean, you can change the caps to be both 0.1s if you want.
Right.
But new or old. You could even change the other present spot to be a 25K if you want. New, except 25K doesn't work for shit. It's like the last quarter,
Yeah.
You're better off with a 10K maybe.
Yeah.
And you can just switch right between the two with the switch. It's really easy, but it significantly sounds different. It's kind of neat, Cool. It's definitely neat. And then there's a switch on the amp that's a plexi switch, so it bypasses the first gain stage, but you can use the gain style switch to be either a plexi with just a master or a plexi with the clipping diodes in.
Oh man,
that's the regular postmaster, or with the pre-style master and a plexi. So you're just eliminating the first gain stage with that switch.
Yeah, it works nicely like that. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun because you can use the clipping diodes even on the like a plexi kind of thing in the traditional every way that he generally did it, and other than going lower on the clipping diodes, cool. Which I had seen him do on old amps, seen him do just the pre-tone stack master before, where that's all he did. But he would use the transistors for the diodes, the MP
what are they? 2N500.
No. The
MPS
A18,
MPS A06, isn't it?
A06. That's it.
MPS A06.
Yeah.
You can use others that actually are like a slight variation on that, like the 23904 or 23906.
Yeah.
That's also nice, but it's like if the MPS A06 is too like a little bit too ratty on the top end.
Yeah.
You can switch between those two, and it's like basically the same clipping level, nearly the same clipping level, but it's weird though. Those 06s, if you put them on a decade box and then you switch in like 4-volt or 5-volt Zener diodes, the diodes drop the volume way more than the transistors do.
Correct.
They do.
The weird one. Everyone always thinks you can sub the two between each other, but you can't. You need like about an 8-volt Zener or
exactly.
Or
I put it on the scope, Dan, and I remember thinking they were clipping more like a 10-volt Zener or something.
They do. It's totally.
They've got like a different sound to them. It's like it's like a bit more of a crunchy sound, whereas the Zeners all really clamp it down. It goes like full compressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, on this, I just again went to the typical what he did at the time, which was the 20-volt ones, which I think in general work really well for not going, not trying to get it to be like insane new metal territory,
Yeah.
And then on a few amps I had seen that he had done. I had seen some where the first gain stage, instead of having the typical 0022 cap out of it, he did a 022, sort of like what Cameron wound up doing later. And I have that on a switch too, so it's a little fat.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
But
it, again, it's like all little things. Okay, if you use that fat setting, well, maybe you're going to like this mode down the line more with this presence, and
Yeah.
you have to be able to dial it in,
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, do I really need the fat mode? Probably not. But there was one in particular amp that belonged to Mick Suida from the Bullet Boys. That was originally the Andy Brower Studio Rentals Jose amp that I knew from when I worked there as a kid. And that had that fatter front end cap. Most other Jose's I ever worked on didn't. But so I thought I'd put that in, I just, it's a useful feature. And then the channels, as I said with this amp, a lot of the switching that was done by Jose originally was very archaic.
Mm-hmm.
Bang.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, it's still bang.
The amp's on. Yeah.
It will still bang, although I'm going to put a mute circuit in it. Because I did it traditionally and I didn't want to alter what was originally done. So it's going to bang because you're switching high voltage on that one part. But it's all switching with relays and they're all put in the right spot. So it's not going in a push-pull pot or anything. First of all, I hate push-pull pots. They're the bane of my existence because they all break.
Yeah.
We use them in some of our amps. We use them in some of our amps, the Bourne pots. And it's like if the ground lug is heated up just a smidge too much ever, then it doesn't work anymore. It loosens up and it's just terrible. It's just like no one makes a great push-pull pot anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot of damage. What's that?
No, I said bring back the old big push-pull pots.
Oh, yeah. The ones that Jose actually used to use were amazing, man. Those are great pots.
Well, the old CTS or stack pole, aren't they? They're like
I
big
think
old
so, yeah.
pots. Yeah, massive things.
They are. So someone who's worried, Dave, there won't be enough of them, and especially in the EU. So I'm sure it's going to be a hit, man.
I mean, we're just sorting out how this is going to work. I mean, so in the EU, there might be dealers. I'm not exactly sure, though. Don't quote me on that for sure. We might actually do. In the US, we're doing factory direct for these amps.
Yeah.
Nice. This is a little experiment. And they're going to be made in small batches. I don't know what that means yet. And I'm really hands-on about it on these. Like, I just gonna even more hands-on. I'm already pretty hands-on, but like these are going to be much more hands-on. So I don't know how the infrastructure, how we're going to do it. I'm not sure. We're going to probably do a pre-order of some sort. I don't know what that means as far as financially or not. I mean, I think you might have an option. Maybe it's a small deposit or something. We don't need to do that. It's just to hold your place in line. And we will make them in batches. So what size of batch that is, I don't know. That might be 50 in batches. I mean, we're able to do it on a bigger scale. So
yeah, just do a
but
small
even to make 50, I mean, it takes a second to make the 50. So
sure. 50 amps is still it's a chunk.
Yeah. And the pots in these amps are all I'm using all sealed Toco pots in this one. They're really nice, actually.
The black ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool too.
Oh yeah, they look cool.
With the black board and the black pots. Yeah. Oh, and the chassis is black zinc plated.
Nice.
Which is super cool, actually. Of course, I've realized that I got to talk to the chassis company. It's like, is there any way you can not scratch the chassis before you send them to plating? Because the little slight scratches on our normal chassis, that just is just the way it is.
Out of it, right. Yeah.
But when you see it in black, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. magnifies it.
It magnifies it kind of. But it's the same zinc coating we normally use, which is clear zinc, but it's a black zinc, which looks fucking awesome.
It does look cool.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
There's a
Well, it
question
sounds
here.
like it sounds just dude. It sounds like you hit all the damn bases on this amp, though.
Oh,
I'll say that.
where I was going though with the switching thing is so when you're switching the gain stage in and out, it's pulling the whole gain stage in and out. It's not any of like the old amps. When you did that and you wanted to use it like a plexi, it was really the low input of the plexi. It wasn't really the high input. And so none of that is happening. So it's operating properly. And then the channels are always both input grids of the channels of the bass channel and the treble channel are tied together. So
Nice.
you can blend it at will.
Yep.
It works better than the original because the original, when you pulled it on, it would put another another 68K to ground, so it would be like 33K to ground, and you actually lose gain until you turn it up enough where there was but you lost gain. Why? That doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Why do that? So that's really the switching elements of things were improved.
Cool.
But other than that, it stays pretty traditional. And no, I didn't do the two gain stages one. I don't think it's necessary actually.
No.
Where one gain stage is in front of the bass channel and one gain stage is in front of the treble channel, and then they're just tied at the input. Oh, what's the point of that? I don't really see the point of that. It didn't really. It was one isn't better than the other. It's the same really.
Yeah.
So you know everything I'm talking about, and I don't like the parallel gain stage either.
That was my next question. Whether you tried that?
Yeah, the original on a
sum them
few
together.
Jose's, he would parallel the first gain stage, right? So
Yeah.
they'd have separate cathode resistors and separate plate resistors and separate caps, and then he'd just sum the two caps at the output, and then a cap to ground, and then into the gain pot. Every single time I've tried to play with that on amps that have come in, it always sounded better if I just disconnected that. It adds more gain, but it's like kind of like congested sounding or something. It's hard to put into words how that
It adds more
sounds.
bass. It adds more bass too.
Yeah.
It does. It sort of squishes things together a bit more. Like I think it works better. It works okay if you perhaps like with the Steve Vai thing, where he was probably using like Path Pros or something at the time, which are quite. I mean, they're not the most muscular sounding pickups, are they?
They're not.
In an RG or something like that. So it's like, with a thinner pickup, it's probably okay. But if you smack the front with a hot pickup, I mean,
it gets a little weird, right? It's a little like, I'm not crazy. It gets a little bloated and a little weird sounding. It just doesn't sound as defined and cool.
No,
and it doesn't really net you that much more gain. It nets you a little bit more gain, maybe, but not in a good way,
Yeah, I think I prefer just if you want it fatter, just put another cap and that you can just parallel in together, with the single stage.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I prefer it more.
Oh, there's a good observation about those gem guitars, Dan.
Well,
because I had I've got one, right? I got a 1989 flower pattern with original Path Pros in it, and it's the thinnest sounding guitar. It's super nice to play, but man, it's got no output.
Well,
they're not hot.
Funny thing on Vai's amp was the main amp. The capacitor was actually broken.
Oh.
And I think it had been broken forever. So in actuality, it wasn't a tied gain. It wasn't paralleled.
Oh, wow.
And that's what you wound up hearing in the Pete Thorne video and all that stuff. So it's I don't think it ever worked, to be honest.
How interesting.
So I left it that way because I thought it sounded better.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did he have like 4 of those or something at the time?
3 of them at one time. The second one was the same. but it had 6550s in it, so it was a slightly different take on it, and it was not quite as good as the main one that Pete did the video of.
Yeah.
It's so funny because all of his amps at the time, he would take whatever amp was given to him and mod. He didn't really change anything else in the rest of the amp. You know, it's just he put the front end mod on. Maybe it had a push pull master, maybe it didn't, and whatever came out came out. And there wasn't a lot of. It didn't look like there was a lot of like, oh well, I only like this presence circuit. No, various presence circuits. Oh, I only like, you know, these sort of filter caps or this or that. And there was none of that going on. It was just like shove the mod on the amp and I like it more. And like, he remember him telling me that he liked it more. He liked this, you know, the higher plate voltage amps better. Like the 70s amp, the 70s amps he preferred. Ideally early 70s, like 72-ish, 73-ish. Because he thought that was the best. I remember him just he had all sorts of little weird things that I saw over the years too, where for a while I saw a couple amps where there was a he would step up with another transformer, step up the voltage, step up the plate voltage, so
the high voltage
fed it in and bumped it up.
Yeah, it's like doing the whole buck and boost transformer.
Yeah, buck and boost is basically the same idea. Yeah, and he did a buck and boost thing.
Yeah, I mean, it works. It's just it takes up space in the chassis, and
he really didn't like the lower plate voltage. I remember him distinctly telling me this. So that was interesting, and he's right.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, you know, you need he preferred the higher ones for sure. Even over the 450 volt ones. He liked the more 480.
Yeah,
right.
One's better.
That's cool. There's a question here for Dan. Do you keep details on what you've done for each customer? And do you have any idea about the amp that ended up on Opus Lamentations?
Was that one of mine, or was it someone else's? I don't think I heard about that. But no, for the first part of the question, I keep information. I've got like photos, gut shots, names, addresses, everything of every single amp I work on, pretty much. You know,
like in a notebook and stuff. Like you actually write down details.
Oh, on my computer, I've got like database full of it. You know, it's pretty much for forever. Just because I don't know, it's just a good way to keep track of, you know.
Yeah, I've never done that.
I just take photos, man.
The only thing I will say is like I don't have serial numbers of every single amp. I mean, I didn't keep like the exact serial numbers, but I've got photos of every amp, so I can probably see the serial number in the pictures anyway. So yeah.
You're more organized.
It's cool that you've done that. I mean, the best I've ever done is I definitely take photos of everything. And then when I have to think about like, oh, what did I do to that amp? I've got to go back into my photo and try and think about the date. Oh, it was, in the middle of last year. And then I find, there it is.
I'll just sort of like look up the invoice. Yeah. And then go, oh yeah, that's what I did. Okay. But I don't remember the amp. I have too much going on in my life where I can't get that organized. It's just not beyond me. I would like to say I did that for everyone's amp ever. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's saved my ass when like if someone's had an amp modded and then they've sold it and someone else down the line has bought it. And then if there's been a problem of any kind, if they've gigged the hell out of the thing and then suddenly something finally blew up, then at least I can dig through the files and find the info and help out a local tech. Maybe it's good. It's good for that purpose. I never really go looking through it for anything else. But
the local techs. That's a whole nother subject of
Is that tech and quoted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a lot better techs out of the US.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
In general.
Uh-huh.
In general. In total general. I mean, there's a few areas that have good techs here, but like there's a vast wasteland of I don't know.
Mhm.
When they're asking for the schematic of the very simple single channel amp that anyone pretty much could figure out just by looking at it.
Yeah.
I always wonder, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the power transformer's blown up. Man. Or the output transformer. I'm like, I don't know. Are you sure about that?
The output transformer was
Yeah.
blown up.
That's
Yeah,
the
don't worry
stock
about
answer, isn't it? It's like you know, tube blows and you know, oh my god, I think it's my output transformer.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
Every
well,
time,
that's-
man.
Yeah, every time,
Every time.
and and then sometimes it's like, are you sure about the power transformers blown? I don't think that's true. So you need to check this again. Disconnect everything.
Yeah.
And then start there and see if you're getting voltages. If you are, it's not that. So, oh yeah, it's a blown diode. Yeah.
I've only had
it is.
the output transformer blowing thing has only happened to me once where it actually was that. And the guy called me as a early 80s 800 2203. And he said, I've been told it's a blown output transformer. I'm on the phone to this guy. I'm like, it's not. I said, it won't be. It's not. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, it never is.
No.
So he brings it around. And then the next day I got onto it after it, and it was. I had to call him back and say, hey, dude, man, it
happens, but it's not that often.
No, but did it bite the dust on your bench though? Did it actually go?
No, it was already toast. Yeah, like it's basically one side. So you get the primary, one side that had obviously taken some energy that it couldn't handle, and that it had melted. So it was basically short circuited on one side of the. Primary.
So we're doing a NAMM show gig at one time with Steve Stevens, right? And a friend of mine who's a guitar tech was teching for him, and I was still at the show, right? And he calls me and he goes, Steve's amp just went up in smoke.
No shit.
I go, what do you mean? He goes, no, it was billowing smoke out of it.
Oh my god.
Like massively. I'm like, holy shit. And we're at the NAMM show still, right? And the gig is like off, not too far away, but you know, like, all right. My partner Rob was like, all right, we're gonna give him another amp from the show and to take it over to you right now. You know, it literally was a defective power transformer, and it literally when he said smoked, it literally was like. It was like the fire is going on here, right? It was just like pouring smoke out of it, and it was so weird because this doesn't happen, you know. It just doesn't happen. It was a defective, power transformer that really epically failed.
Yeah, it happens. It's like I had one amp where the customer was saying to me, "Oh, I've been gigging it and I've been using it with multiple cabs," and immediately I'm thinking, impedance mismatch. So anyway, he says like, "Oh, it's making some weird like arcing noise when I'm playing it." And he was like, "Well, I carried on playing it anyway." Like, so,
of course.
So it's like the fuse, you know, like you can just picture like the fuse is just waiting to go, you know, and it's like when he sent it to me, I powered it up and I was like, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's working fine, you know. So I turned it up a little bit and just out of nowhere, I just heard the most earth-shattering noise. And the cloud of smoke that came out of the amp, I think you could like scrape it off the walls after for about a week. It was just acrid. It was the worst smelling crap I ever smelled.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
And it just came out like a cloud, like a bomb went off.
It's crazy. It's terrible. I remember one time though, I had an amp on the bench. that, you know, it was having some sort of problem, some sort of arc or something. And we're like, okay, let's see what's going on. And you turn it on and you turn it on and then you hear the arc and then the tubes, I had the tubes out of it and it's still arced on the socket. And right out of the hole in the middle of the tube socket was like a little candle of flame. I'm not joking, like a flame, like a candle coming out of the tube socket. It was lit. And I just stood there and let it burn for a little while because I wanted to see. I just was like, look at that. That's amazing.
There's some magic in that amp, man.
There's some magic. I know I'm going to have to replace the socket, but hey. But it was fun to see that it just popped up. The flame is like, it just like, it was like like you lit a candle. And I'm like, that's awesome.
What shorted out? What was it? A screen resistor or something?
So the whole socket had arced. So you know, it was just the carbon was just burning, and it just happened that the flame would just come up like a candle. It was awesome looking.
Yeah.
That's awesome looking.
That arcing problem is a really shitty thing to deal with.
Well, you just got to replace it. This whole
but so many times, you know, you'll have like a customer who has it happen and they don't know that there's an arc there, and they go and put in a new set of power tubes and bang,
it arcs again. Imagine that.
Arcs again, and then it arcs again, you know, and they don't know why it's arcing.
Yeah.
Once it's happened once, right?
And then at that point, you might as well change all 4 power tubes. They're all old. You might as well just change them all.
Exactly. If it's only arc between 2 pins, sometimes you can Dremel it, but it depends how bad the arc was. You know, you
Dremel
better to just change it.
You can Dremel it away generally if it's just on the surface, and then you can take some nail polish, and you can just like clear nail polish and just paint over it. That's the old school trick.
There you go. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Good.
It just seals it. It just seals it. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
All right. Shit. Okay. I'm going next.
This is for a lot of water. This is for you. This is for Dan. Thinking of sending you one of my 77 JMPs for some TLC mods. Beaten to hell, but sounds insane. Not sure how things work with Brexit due to he's in the EU. You must be shipping stuff to the EU all the time, Dan.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky now because obviously if you send stuff in, then you're going to have to declare a value on it. I mean, and then they're going to, most of the time they're going to tax it. 20%.
What are the import duties in the EU on something like this? Are they like 15 to 20%, somewhere around there?
Yeah, when stuff comes into the UK, if they tax it, it's about 20%, and then they slap on like an extra 10, 20 pound for admin fees for doing their job, and it's annoying, but I have had stuff sent to me from the EU, and it's gone straight through without anything. No taxes, no nothing. So I'm just assuming that the border is so rammed that they just only tax certain things. I mean, I've heard there's the most insane number of items going through UK customs every day. So it's probably one of those situations where it's like, okay, pick one out of a million. So you could be lucky, you could be unlucky, but whatever the case, it won't be more than 20% of whatever you declare it as.
Yeah.
I had a really bad experience sending something through UK customs recently, where I was sending an amp to Justin Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
And everything like I normally send every amp was, just standard commercial invoice, standard everything. No big deal. But one of the more first times sending it since Brexit, right, into the UK. And it was held up in customs a little bit. Tech didn't get it yet. He even called them. Everything okay with FedEx, and everything seems to be fine. I'm sure it'll clear customs in a couple days. Well, all of a sudden we all get notification that it's coming back to me.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh no, what? No, what? No, don't send it back. What are you doing? Why? What's the issue? We don't know. We don't know what
They
the
can't
issue
explain.
is. They can't explain. We don't know what the
No.
issue is. It's just coming back to you. So, okay, great. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I sent it over there at a really good rate.
Yeah.
What rate is it coming back to me as?
Oh, times
Oh
10.
no.
Yeah, it's kind of times 10,
Right.
not quite times 10, but yes.
Yeah.
Certainly
book
not great
rate,
rate.
book rate.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so they're coming, the darkness is coming here. So it's like, is this amp going to get back to me so I can go to the show here and just deliver it to them?
Mhm.
You know, so it shows up like a day before. And I opened the box from UK Customs, and they had taken the amp out. They had not put all the packaging back. They had taken the amp apart.
Oh man.
And
Looking for
then
drugs.
just put the chassis back in the head shell,
Mhm.
and then threw all the bits and screws back in the box. They didn't even screw it back in.
So the
And
chassis
then
are floating around
and they
inside.
send it like that. So the chassis is like banging around in the head shell. All the tubes are broken. The head shell's all fucked up. The panels on the amp are fucked up. And I'm like, okay, so his show is tomorrow. Great. It's like in the afternoon, I get this amp back. And I'm like going, all right, I gotta get a head shell. Okay. Oh, panels. I got to change panels. I had to go down to the factory and get panels. And I know, like, I'm changing the panels out in this amp. Like, hope it works when it's done, you know, and like changing all this stuff. And, you know, got it up and running literally in time to put it in my car to drive it to the show.
Great.
And then of course FedEx charged me like $700 to send it back.
Wow.
And plus the $200 I paid to go there.
Yeah.
And then I started to file a claim, and then somehow the claim disappeared. I'm like, I just gave up. I'm just like going,
Yeah, some of that
okay,
stuff.
whatever.
becomes
I
too
just
hard.
lost big time on this. But hey, Justin Hawkins has the amp.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you have this in the UK, Dan, but I've
Yeah.
done this in Australia a couple of times where they have like customs allow you to declare something that's coming in for repair and return.
Yeah.
So sometimes you know they will still hold it and ask the question, but if someone's bringing in something from overseas to you to work on, and it's declared as it's for return, so it's not going to stay in the country.
Theoretically, that works.
Theoretically, I don't know if you've tried that, but it can work.
So it should work, and logically, it makes sense that it would work. But like most things in the UK, nothing works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem with the Brexit thing and this customs thing.
Yeah, I hear
I've
you.
shipped a million amps in the past to the UK with no issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
Was declared for the full value. Everything was there. Was the paperwork was perfect. No one ever contacted me if something was missing or anything out of the paperwork. Why the fuck did it get returned? And why did they take it apart? That's never happened.
That's
Ever.
the really weird thing.
Someone was having a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then really, they didn't have the courtesy to actually just screw it back together. They just literally threw all the pieces in the box. Let's return this $3,000 amp in pieces.
Customs is a pain in the ass.
I mean, I don't have that problem anywhere else. I mean, that was just, and then I'm like, that's it. I'm not sending anything to the UK.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting worse because the EU did the same thing to me in December or November, whenever it was. They returned an amp that I sent out there. I sent it to Germany, and it sat there, and they didn't update me for like 2 weeks, and then suddenly they say, "Oh, it's being returned. Dangerous goods," and they put like a fucking red tape all over it, and were like charging me for the returns. And it was because they they gave me like a list of things, and none of it made any sense. Like it was complete bullshit. And they also were like, oh well, there wasn't German language documentation included, you know.
Oh my god!
Well, that's
little things.
That's insane.
How do you know these days? I mean, if they keep changing what you need to send, how do you know?
Is that happening to the EU all the time now, Dan, or is that just a one-off?
It was just a one-off. I've never had it happen ever. I mean, I've been shipping stuff to the EU for like 15 years, and it's like I've never had so much as a single problem anywhere. And then this time it was like, you know, the shipping company couldn't even give me any information about it. There was never any updates. It just turned up back at my door.
That's exactly what happened with me.
There was no communication whatsoever.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Noted.
Brad, hey, thanks for the super chat, Brad. We'll make sure that gets sent on. Heart goes out to those affected by the fires for sure, man. We do know that feeling well in Australia now. Having fires is not something we're something that we're very used to here in the summer. I guess not in the winter.
Yeah, well, that's what that's what they say here too, right?
Yeah.
Well, normally it would have rained by now, but it hasn't rained at all.
I think the scariest thing is that this has happened through really built up urban areas.
Well, yeah, I mean the whole problem, it's just a beautiful storm of everything, right? So the whole issue was the windstorm, which in my whole time living here since 30 plus years, I've never seen winds like this ever. So that's one. Number two, last year was a wet year for us, and so a lot of vegetation grew,
right,
and then proceeded to dry out. Extra vegetation dried out, and then there's more to burn, so it's it's kind of surreal because my little area is untouched, like I don't have to deal with this. My life is continuing as normal, but like so many people I know, it's a totally different reality. Yeah. And it's sort of a kind of a weird headspace because I don't go too far around. Like I go from my house to work, and I work 6 days a week, and I go back to my house, and those are half mile away from each other.
Yeah.
So I don't really leave the area too much, right? I go to the factory once a week, but it's not near anything. So it's
kind of it's kind of surreal that it's happening in your own city.
A little surreal. I think I'm gonna go. I mean, when the roads are open again and stuff, I want to go take a drive to really let that sink in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I actually want to go see it in person. I'm not sure why I want to do that, but I want to do that.
Is this going to affect NAM at all? You think?
Not so far.
Not so far.
I mean,
there's still time.
There's still time for more to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still burning.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of the fires are. I mean, and here's the other thing. I mean, some of these fires were set. I mean, someone.
Yep.
It's like, hey, one fire is burning. Hey, let's go set some more. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's I can't even imagine. I mean, the firefighters and they're up. They're just constantly fighting this fire. It's got to be completely exhausting. I just can't imagine. It never ends, and it's just not mentally, your mental health, even watching this happen is not good,
Yeah. It's
brutal. I always love your dog wandering around in the back.
Yeah.
Like, no care in the world.
This is Wolfie.
Wolfie, yeah.
Wolfgang, yeah. He's always hanging out in this room.
Yeah, he likes it in there.
Yeah. So Brad, I actually saw Brad. You posted it. Was it yesterday, day before?
I saw that build.
The Cranky Karen.
Cranky Karen's build looked awesome, Brad.
Dirty Shelley.
I love the name.
I bet it sounds killer too.
Nice layout. Look good.
Yeah, it did look really clean. Strat jackets. Dave, you really loving the mods you did to my 84 800. Been a few months, but never caught you live to say thanks and how much I appreciate the work. Now, do you remember what you did, Dave?
I have no idea who this person is.
Dave doesn't keep records.
This is the go and look in your database, man.
I don't have a database.
Exactly.
No, I have no idea what I did. It's been a few months. Let's see. Let me try to think about this for a minute.
Been a few months. So maybe I'm thinking, like, was it probably October, November, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what I did.
Yeah. We'll have a look.
JC 800. So chances are, did I do a JL mod on it? Maybe. Could be. On 800s, I love doing those on 800s. So
this is the just another shout out for Brad here. I've been following Brad's progress on this. So we talked before about how Alex had created a drop-in replacement board for the Origin. Well, Brad, in all his spare time, has gone ahead and completed a drop-in replacement for the DSL 100, JCM 2000, the infamous bias drift boards that. So Marshall stopped selling them, right? So you could always get a replacement board.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall, they discontinued them, what, maybe a year ago? Something like that.
So now he's made a better board.
Made a better board
than ever existed.
So Brad, where do people go? You can drop it in the chat, man. Where do people go to check these out if they want to grab one? I'm assuming on just up to your website, maybe.
I was chatting with Brad about those, and I'm like, what does FYM stand for?
Yeah. This is it, man.
First thing that comes to mind.
I said,
it's something your Marshall, right?
Is that fuck you, Marshall, or is that fuck your mother, or is that
fuck your Marshall?
And he actually said, no, it's actually fix your Marshall.
Oh.
I was like, I like the other ones better.
Yeah. That's what popped in my head first. Fix your Marshall.
You got to do a limited. You have to do a limited run of the fuck you ones, Brad. Different color.
I like the fuck you Marshall ones. I think that.
Yeah.
No, that's nothing against Marshall. I actually met some people from Marshall recently. They were really awesome. So,
look, while we're
funny.
talking about Marshall, I'm gonna ask this question.
Oh no, don't do that.
You don't have to answer it.
Okay.
What are they releasing at NAMM?
I know what it is, but I can't say it because I've been sworn to secrecy, and someone will kill me if I do.
Okay.
Oof.
We have our
Dan,
theories.
any idea?
Probably like a Silver Jubilee beer fridge.
No, it's not that. Although that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, why not?
Like they already made the 800, so why not make the Duke?
Yeah.
I think that'd look good. It would different.
The silver
different
ones will work
aesthetic.
well, man.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. You know, gold, silver.
Yeah,
Like the whole set.
I'm guessing that it's the Duke.
I know what it is, and it's two things, and
as in two
can't
amps.
say. I just can't say.
Yeah,
we'll find out soon.
It's in two different amps. That's how much I can say.
Okay.
Are we going to be modding them or no? Can you tell? Can you tell us that?
It's two existing amps with things added on.
Okay.
Okay. So one of them, look, based on the photo, one looked like a 1997X.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I didn't
And
see
then
this photo.
if you're going to do that, then you're probably going to do it on the SV20 because people love the small amps. I'm just guessing here now, but
Maybe not.
maybe not. Okay. Let's move on. Any thoughts on the Yamaha Series 2 amps from back in the day? Paul Rivera helped design. Nobody seems to talk about them anymore.
Series
Thanks
2
for this,
amps.
Dave. Who knows anything about those?
I know what
there
the
was a-
Soldano ones, but
yeah, I remember the Soldano ones, but I didn't know about the Rivera one. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't.
Transistor based. Okay.
Huh. I'm looking it up. Oh, that. Wait, no, that's not it. I don't know what amp they're referring to exactly.
Not sure.
I mean, I know there was the the Soldano ones. I've always wanted to, although I never have done it. I have always wanted to take the T100 amp that existed from the Yamaha and just mod the shit out of it or gut it or something, because it had 2 full channels and it was rack mountable.
Yeah,
I thought that would be kind of fun to do. You know,
maybe someone will send you one now.
Oh boy, can't wait.
You've opened the floodgates.
Send it to
now.
Dan. If you're in the UK or Europe, send it to Dan.
You know what? I don't think I've ever in my life seen one in the UK.
It might, yeah, maybe not. I mean, I'm like, I just saw one on Reverb right now, and it's $1,100 or something.
Yeah.
It's actually go for decent money. It's not.
Yeah, it's not really cheap, is it? It's nice.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah.
Not now. That would be a cool amp to mod, though. I think. I mean, it's basically a Marshall architecture.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, I can't see why you couldn't mod it.
I'm going to have a look at.
It used to be you could get them for $600.
Yeah,
and then that would definitely be a worthwhile thing. I still think the best bang for the buck value is the vintage modern.
Yeah.
Because you can service them really easily and mod them pretty easily, although you got to replace the loop.
The loop,
and just throw that reverb out too while you're at it. It's on the same. It's on the same board, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and,
unplug it.
I actually found when I modded that first one, Jason.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I actually found when you took out the post phase master and all this stuff and put a regular master on it, there was a weird ground loop that actually happened between their reverb board and the main board, and there was like this hum, and you had to disconnect the ground. You had to lose it anyway, because and you didn't hear it with the post phase master because it was so low.
The hum's always there, but with
it's always there actually. It was like a design flaw.
Yeah.
Of some sort that I got through, but actually to mod those is pretty kind of fun to.
Yeah, I love modding them. They're
tweak
great.
that. It's really easy to do because you just pull the board out and just mod it on the bench, and the board's pretty nice and everything like goes back together nice, and you can tweak.
Super
I mean, technically that's that second gain stage after the plexi part, so to speak. You know, you have 2 halves of tubes there, so you can do all sorts of things with it.
Those things have got super high plate voltages too from the last couple that I worked on.
Yeah.
Was it? Pretty high. Well, the ones that I've seen here are.
Yeah, they're like well over 450 for sure, right?
Yeah.
Well
Closer
over,
to 500.
like, yeah, closer to 5, yeah.
So proper.
Yeah. No, they kick ass.
They sound killer modded.
Was the Marshall question about like the cheapest Marshall? Like how the vintage modern came in there? I saw that question get asked.
No, I don't know. No, that really wasn't a thing. I just think that the bang for the buck, a vintage modern, here you can get really cheap.
Sub
it's
grand,
like $500-600, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
They're a bit more expensive here, but you still have pretty.
Last
good
time
value.
I looked, it was $500 or $600 here. You can get one.
A pretty good value
Same
compared
pounds,
to years.
Yeah,
it's about it.
This shout out here to Fraser, who Dan, you probably know Fraser, right? He's got one of your amps here. He's in Melbourne. I've played that amp, man. It's killer. Awesome. I had fun playing that.
Hey, Fraser.
Yeah. So some
Yeah,
of these guys
he's-
get together and have these Ampfests. And the last time I was at one, Fraser's amp was there. So.
I think I did 2 for Fraser, didn't I? I think I did a Jose 3-in-1, and I did a Killer Cali for him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Forget which order, but I think it was back in like pandemic time.
Couple more super chats here. Fluid Audio Group. Hey, Elaine, how you doing, man?
What's up, Elaine?
Hey,
Yay.
Hello.
You went again, man. Oh, this is this is going back way back in the chat. The question about someone asked me about a good tech in Brisbane. So BJ, Red Bank Plains, there you go, wherever that is. Someone else has said it as well. Weird question. What do you think is the best amp to never catch on but should have? There you go.
Fuck, I don't even.
Should have been a hit but wasn't.
That's a tough one.
That is tough.
I'm not sure.
It's the amp that no one knows about. So.
Not sure.
I don't know. Vintage Modern's probably a good one to put there.
Probably a good example. I mean, they must have sold a bunch though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, is that amp stock really that great? Maybe not.
yeah, I agree.
If you pushed it pretty hard with the master, it gets better. Modded, it's pretty killer. It can be, because I really developed this mod with Jason or not with Jason, but I developed this mod and then Jason took it and did it there. And where I'm like, okay, what can I do to this and make it same sort of architecture it has, but just make it better. And then I came up with what I came up with, and it wound up being great.
That parallel stage is super cool. You can do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of interesting. Like, you know, when you learn all this stuff, like even like for instance, the you know, those hot mods, right? The little hot mod deals that everyone adds to their amps because they need more gain than you already have in the 4 gain stage amp. Because, you know, because why not put more on it?
Why not?
But where that sits later in the stage before the cathode follower is interesting when you add a gain stage there. I think it's similar to some stuff you do, Dan, where you add that other gain stage, right? With a typical cathode follower thing. I think Mike Fortin too does it, where you add that gain stage right before the cathode follower.
Yeah. It's like between the
in or out, you know, in and out, you know.
Yeah,
and it's the same concept with that hot mod. And it's interesting when you hear that hot mod in context, like I put it in a Runt 50 amp of mine or whatever, and like, I mean, you're like, that's pretty fucking cool. That's a lot of gain, but it works really well. And the bass is pretty well cut in those hot mods. I mean, there's a fatter mode and a leaner mode. But if you look at what's going on, you're like, oh yeah, that's similar to, and it's funny. It's very similar to, I know what Mike Fortin was doing with that extra gain stage. And I think yours is similar. It's almost verbatim with some different values, but it's almost the same thing.
It's a really similar concept. Yeah. It's compared to the hot mod. I think I don't know, to my ears, it felt a little bit fatter, maybe a little more compressed. Whereas the one I do is the way I do it, it stops it from getting bloated. Like you can turn this one up until it reaches like bordering the point of oscillation, and it still stays like really quick on the attack.
Yeah.
Whereas the hot mod, I think, has got a bit more. If you push it that far, it gets a little bit more bloat, but not in a bad way. It's just a different voicing. But yeah, it all comes down to the way you.
It's just a few parts differences actually between all of them. You know, really, to be honest, it's just like a little tweak there, a little tweak here, and it's really the same concept.
Yeah, and like with the when I do that in those amps, like it's like I don't even feel like you always need it. Like it's nice to add it, even a subtle amount of it.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, you don't need loads of it. Like
Yeah.
for my taste, I barely run it past noon, and that isn't like massively past like unity gain.
Yeah.
In there, so yeah. But it's a cool thing though. It's quite transparent in that sense, like because of where it sits in the circuit.
Clyde's asking if your amp tech can't figure out what's wrong with your amp, what would you do? Buy a box, a shipping box for your amp.
What's your amp, and where are you?
Yeah,
exactly.
And what's going on with it?
We'll fix it right
Depends
now.
on what country you're in.
Send it to a trusted tech.
It depends on what that. You can send it to me.
It's okay to ship amps, man, as long as you pack them well. Right?
Yeah, pack them well. Unlike some people.
Yeah.
Some people have. I've received some amps in some very interesting packaging over the years.
I love it, man.
Me too.
Just cardboard wrapped around.
Received. There was one amp that came to Boutique Amps Distribution, where it was received in a like a cooler, like a plastic cooler. Like 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 where you put beer in or whatever, cooler.
Like we'd call it an esky.
Like, okay, we don't. We call it a cooler. I mean, Shane understands. Received in a cooler.
That's nuts.
It was like taped shut, and it was in a cooler. I mean, it was safe in the cooler, but I'm like looking at it, going,
that is the craziest.
That's a new one for me. I've never seen that before.
The corners were not
beat that one.
Huh?
I think I can beat that one.
Okay, wait. I might have other ones too. So hang on.
So I had one JCM 800 that came into me, and when it turned up, it was just the shape of a Marshall with a black trash bag taped around it. No packaging of any kind. And they'd cut a hole where the Marshall handle goes.
That's good.
No way,
just
man.
a bag.
Yeah.
And it made it in one piece, right?
It made it in one piece. There wasn't a mark on it.
Yeah.
No way.
I have seen.
That's a good one.
Where they just put it in a box, and the box just surrounds the amp where the handle's cut out for the handle.
Oh, same. I've had that.
I've seen that.
And the
it made it
with no padding. Just
I've seen other things come where it didn't make it, and it's just like, how does this one? One amp recently came from South Africa that barely had any padding on it whatsoever. I just modded it for this guy Jacob Buskey or whatever, and it like literally almost. I mean, it had the thinnest little piece of like styrofoam inside around it. It was basically just the head shell, and I sent it back to him the same way. If it comes in that box, it's going back to you in that box, and it made it fine. It made it fine. I mean, I put a little extra padding in it. I was like, I couldn't. Yeah. The best advice for packing. If you're going to pack something, go invest in bubble wrap.
Yeah,
but not this little thin, tiny bubbles. The big bubble, the large bubbles, bubble wrap.
Yeah,
and wrap your amp 2 inches at least around all sides.
Yeah,
tape it, everything, and then find a box that it goes in. But whatever box you put it in, if it's loose in the box at all, pack more stuff in so it's not loose. Can't be rattling around in the box in any way. It can't be shifting from side to side.
Yeah.
And then close the box up nice and tight with packing tape. And your amp will guarantee make it to your destination. Please do not use packing peanuts.
Oh, God.
I used to have an employee that would tell people, if you send your amp with packing peanuts, we will return your amp with a live snake in the box.
Nice.
That's what he used to
They are
tell him
awful.
as a joke. But really, like, we'd want to do that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I could find one.
Because-
It's going in, man.
because, man, especially if they're the newer kind of packing peanuts that are like a little less, a little more environmentally friendly than the old ones, that's better. But the styrofoam ones,
Nah.
oh, I want to kill someone.
They
Yeah.
just
Because
go
it's in
everywhere.
every part of the amp. It's shoved in the head shell. It's all buried. It's sticking to everything with static
Mhm.
cling. And
Yeah, they break. They break into little chunks, and they get
and then
stuck
it
in
makes
the
a
head
big
shell
mess
and-
in your place, and you're like
Yeah.
pissed off as soon as you're taking the amp out, and
Every
you
time.
don't
Yeah.
want to be pissed off,
No.
and it's
No,
just
that's the
like,
worst.
use bubble wrap, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go on Amazon. I buy those gigantic rolls of bubble wrap that are
Yeah.
like as tall as me, and they're like
Yeah.
this big. You have to like bear hug
Yeah.
them to carry them in.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
yeah, it works great. Bubble wrap
Only way to do
always will get it there in as long as you wrap it enough, it'll
Yeah.
get it there perfectly fine.
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
bounce off the ground. It'll be fine.
Yep, exactly. It's got to be like basketball style. You should be able to bounce it, you know?
We fortunately have a store that's not far from here that's called Box City, and it's a boxing store, right?
Yeah.
And they sell giant rolls of bubble wrap and giant roll, whatever you need, all the tape, everything you possibly need to package anything. And it's awesome. You just go there, just take that big roll there, and I'll take the box of 7 or 8 tape rolls, and
Great.
I don't
We
have to
don't have
order
that.
it. It's just I just go down the street.
I have to get boxes made for me and everything else. It's annoying as hell.
Oh
and it
well, I've
costs a
done that,
fortune.
Dan. I mean, if you're in the US, you can get decent amp head boxes from Uline. I think minimum order shows probably 5 or 10 or whatever. But around here, I've had to get custom boxes cut. It's not that hard.
Yeah,
to
we
do,
get
but
all our boxes made custom.
as
Yeah,
long
I
as
just-
you as long as you order
Custom
you're
foam
prepared to order
inserts.
a
It never used to be a lot of money when I used to.
Yeah.
Even before boutique, I used to do it myself, and we had a box guy, and it was like $3 or $4 a head box or something.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I pay way more than that for mine, but still, it's like at least they're secure, and they're reliable. They don't break. It's like I don't mind paying a bit for them if it means it gets there in one piece.
Exactly. Mikhail is asking, hello, what is the best donor amp you would use to get 70s punk tone / sound like Steve Jones's Sex Pistols or Generation X, but not become deaf? Actual customer of Dan's. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Miko. Yeah, I'm doing a Jose mod for him right now, like kitted out with all the extras, and I'm putting like a clean channel in it and
Oh,
tube
boy.
loop and all that kind of stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, crazy shit. So
Steve
Best
Jones
donor.
Sex Pistols. I mean, that's like a JC Man 100 kind of almost.
JMP. I
Not
don't know.
really a lot of gain. I know Steve, and he favors a JC Man 100.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, was that tone like, was that a 2203 style?
I mean,
Tone?
like it's not like high gain. It's just like loud
Yeah.
and brash.
yeah, I think you could do that with like an 800 or even a a non-master volume or something like that, just like crank to the hill.
Yeah.
Something that just still sounds gnarly when it's turned up and it doesn't compress too much.
Doesn't want to become deaf, so wants a master volume. For non-master volume, you're going to need a power station or something like that after it, I guess. But
The
what
same
was
thing
the,
with
so Marshall
earbuds.
Marshall just did some sort of special run or reissue or whatever it was. Sex Pistols amp, it's like with
Did
really
they?
bright yellow and pink colors and stuff like that.
No,
They
I
did?
saw that.
I saw they did
Yeah.
it for him, but I don't know if that actually got released. I don't know if it was like a
Yeah, I
design
don't think it
store
was
custom
either.
thing.
That's in there. They've got it in there. I've seen it in there. They've got that kind of museum thing at the front of the factory
Yeah.
and stuff. It's sitting in there now. But that was just a JCM 800 2203, wasn't it?
Yeah, that kind of amp can totally work for it. I mean, it might not be like totally authentic to like the original sound. I don't know. Because I think on the most like famous record, he used the Fender combo. That the speakers changed.
Right. There you
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
whatever was available at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Turn
don't
it up
think-
loud and go.
Yeah, exactly. It was more like that kind of attitude, wasn't it? Like, oh well, that'll do. Crank it till it basically sounds like it's gonna explode.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
All right.
Probably a '70s twin
Yeah.
Probably.
with
And
the
that-
with the
That'll make,
master.
that'll make you go deaf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Victor. Appreciate it, man.
'70s twin with the master with JBLs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Really
that's what it
subtle,
was.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mendel rocks. Hey, dude.
Ah, Mendel.
Yeah, Mendel. Man, you've got one of my amps, man. He's in Spain? Is that right? I think so.
I think he's had a
remember.
few of mine as well. I don't know if he's still got them, but
Yeah, killer, man. That's awesome. Good to see you here. We've got another comment here. So Dan is currently working on a vintage super bass. Killer.
hey mate, yeah. Yes.
Super
That's gonna be
excited
cool.
for it. Own a B50. Awesome. And just need to earn a Monomyth and head first. Yeah, man. Get on.
Yeah, man. Get them all.
Get on board.
More stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. You
More.
can never have too many.
No, it makes you happy.
I would say it's not really, it's
Excuse me.
everyone has always said well, like, aren't you worried about this guy or this guy or this or that? Or I'm like, no, it's a different sound, and everyone has their sound, and everyone decides if they like that sound, or everyone needs to own all the sounds, one of the two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think it's about that. It's like you make your product and you make the best product you can, and people will decide what they want to buy.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be friendly and nice, and it's just like it's
Absolutely.
fine.
There's room for
Yeah.
everyone.
There's room for
Oh,
everyone.
there is.
And like
Yeah,
I always
there
said that about it. That's why I'm friends with all these, the Mike Soldano and Bruce Egnator and Stevie Fryad and all these people that are pioneers that have been doing this forever. We're all really all friendly.
Yeah.
We're
As it
we're all
should be.
buds, and it's just like, and we all make very different products, and there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
Man, I think there's this whole kind of network effect that's happening now in the age of the digital platforms, right? And then there's what we're all doing, and obviously everyone else who's still doing tube amps. And so every time any of us in this industry that are in the tube side of it creates some excitement, some new product or whatever, it's good.
Yeah.
Good for all of us.
It ends up someone might buy their first tube amp and then go, holy fuck, this is right, this is what I'm doing, and then they're going to buy more, right? It's like, it's good. It's not, I don't see it as competition at all. I see it as like it's actually more helpful than anything,
Yeah.
It's great.
I still
it
get
pushes,
excited.
pushes all of us,
Yeah. I still get
Good
excited
things.
when people make new stuff. Like when
Yeah.
you post stuff, Dan, like I'll see some of your stuff and I'm like, man, that's fucking awesome.
Likewise,
Yeah.
the same with all of you
Yeah.
guys. It's like I get inspiration all round. Absolutely. Whenever I see anything cool, I'm like straight away. I'm like, fuck, I want to get busy and make more.
Yeah, I know, man.
I'll send Dan stuff occasionally when people want something changed or modded or tweaked of one of my stuff in the UK, because there's just no one to do it.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
I mean, like, there's no one to do it that will understand. I mean, like, there's a bunch of techs that actually are good techs in the UK, I've found. But they don't really trying to explain, like, hey, he wants to add a clean channel to his Pink Taco amp. Okay, what?
You need someone who's
with
done
you,
it.
I could go, here's the Pink Taco amp. Can you just add a clean channel for him? And you'd be like, Yes.
Yep.
I
Yep.
can do that. Yeah, I can fit.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. No problem.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like,
Yeah. It's
yeah, you can't do that like with like local text, like we were saying about before.
no, you can't. And I mean, there's some good, decent techs in the UK, much better than the US. But,
There's plenty.
and
of
there's
good ones.
great techs in Australia.
Yeah.
There are
Um,
some damn good guys in
there
Australia.
is only a handful of people here in the US,
Yeah.
and they're kind of few and far between. Like there's a plethora of them in Michigan. There is, one guy in Austin. There's a great guy in Las Vegas. Fantastic guy in Las Vegas. And I don't know where the rest of them are.
There's a good one in Indianapolis. Uncle Albert's Kevin.
Yeah.
Uncle Albert. He's pretty good. He's been doing it for a long time.
What is it about Michigan, man? This is like
Michigan. There's a whole ton of people.
So we've got. Speaking of legends,
Yeah, there you
Bruce is here.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, man.
What's going on, Bruce? Thanks for the email. Wondering if everything's okay with me. It is. As I answered you.
Here you go. So on that, jumping through the questions here, guys. Anyone know of a good amp repair workshop in North Carolina? You go, Dave. Do you know of anybody? Shea?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying there's not one. I just don't know of anyone. Man, there's a great guy in Las Vegas. If anyone's in Las Vegas, there's Carl Popik in Las Vegas. He's fantastic. In Michigan, of course, there's Bruce Egnetter, George Metropolis, Danny Russell. There's another guy too that I can't think of his name right now. But Nashville, there's Nashville Amp Repair. Who's fantastic. That's Todd Sharp. They're great.
North Carolina, I think that guy Jerry from FJA Mods, I think he's there.
Is he still doing things?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. As far as I know.
All right.
Yeah, it's few and far between in the US, I think, really. I mean, there's a couple other guys I stumbled upon, and forgive me if I'm not remembering who, but I'm sure there's more. Not that I'm intimately familiar with.
Yeah.
There you go. A good number there anyway.
Carl in Vegas was amazing.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then if you're in Canada, Chris Church in Toronto area, he's amazing. There's someone else in Canada too. That
this guy, Elaine, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he does great work.
He's in Canada though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Okay, so Weimar Polyprop and Dale Metal Film. Okay, cool. I like this one from Brad. This is going back. We're a little bit behind in the chat here, obviously. But this was about the pre-tone stack master with the bleed, which is like, how often do you play your amp with the volume on 0? It's more of a hygiene. It's a hygiene thing. I think that's to make us feel good, right? Oh yeah, like there's no bleed. But like,
this is true. This is true. You know,
turn the fucking thing up, man. It'll be fine.
This is true. I mean,
I'll be keeping that one.
I try to strive to not have any flaws like bleed.
This is it.
In amps like and things.
It's for your own kind of.
But
like, see, I did it. No bleed.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal with all my amps is, turn everything on 10. All you hear is hiss. No hum.
Yeah.
Zero hum. Just hiss.
Yeah.
Why does it hiss so much?
True, man.
Well, because why does it hum? Well, is your guitar on? Well, yeah. Roll your guitar off. Does it hum anymore? No.
This is Dave. This
And
is
you have
thing.
the highest gain setting possible on your amp. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's just going to happen. Well, how do I fix it? You can't.
Yeah.
This relates to that topic we were talking about earlier, which is you can kind of tell when someone's never played through a loud amp, because if they haven't developed that habit or skill, like of rolling the volume off when they stop playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
I've had people.
Straight away.
I've had
It
people
should be
send me-
automatic. You know? Like,
I've had people send me videos about the noise they're getting. And you see the guitar sitting next to the amp on a stand.
Volume
On.
knob all the way up.
On.
the
Yeah.
volume wide open
With
Yeah,
the
man.
high gain setting,
Yeah.
and it's feeding back and making all this noise, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
that's good, man. That's
Yeah.
by
No
design.
shit.
no shit. Turn the
Works.
volume off. Does it go away? Yeah. Okay, well, that's fine then. How about you
Yeah.
touch the guitar? How about that? Let's start that.
Oh,
And then I had another guy send me a video once of guitar cord plugged into the amp with the cable laying on the floor open. And he's wondering
does it
why it's
hum?
squealing and feeding back.
Wow.
Well, because the cable's open on the floor, and yeah, it's high gain, and well, it doesn't do it on the clean channel. Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I'll
that's
tell you,
normal.
one-
That's yes, it won't do it on the clean channel. It might buzz a little bit on the clean channel, but no.
This is the one thing.
Gain amplifies everything. So whenever I have made guitar rigs over the years, right, we would always test these rigs into a gainy amp, like a hot rodded Marshall or something, or gainy amp, because it will amplify everything in this rig that's in front of it to the 10th degree, and you'll hear every little noise, every little ground loop, every little everything. Into a clean amp, you don't hear any of it. I mean, you can use a one spot, daisy chain all the pedals together, and it's buzzing like a motherfucker. And into a clean amp, you don't know. It seems fine. It's totally quiet. I go, it's not quiet. I don't care what you tell me. That's not quiet. I can tell you just by looking at it, it's not quiet.
Yeah.
Put it
Don't
into
you
the
find,
gain
though-
channel and tell me how much noise you hear.
Don't you find that even like
Drives me
people's
insane.
rigs people's rigs at home these days can be extraordinarily complex. So someone, a customer will come back to you with like, I've got this ground loop, or I've got this hum. They don't know it's a ground loop. All they know is I've got a hum or something. Then you say, well, what's your setup? And then they describe this elaborate.
Well,
setup.
yes, that's I just had that happen.
Just like, how about just plug in and then
Just had that happen. I repaired an amp for someone that had an issue with it. I sent it back. It was perfect. He's like, yeah, it's still doing this weird thing. Well, here's the video. It's like squealing when it's like high gain. And I'm like, what do you got going on? What's going on? And you say he's got a pedal board and there's a pre and post path. But the pre and post path, he's got Dunlop brick power supplies, not ISO bricks, but bricks. So they're all common grounds. And so there's common grounds between the front end and the rear end. And plus there's a power station where all the rear end stuff goes into. So I'm like going, you have ground loop.
What could possibly go wrong?
If you plug your guitar into your amp, does it go away with just the post path? Yeah. Okay, you have a ground loop. So here's how you fix this. But ideally, you want an isolated power supply for everything. And then, there was something else. Oh, he was using a like a rev, like a gate where it had a pre-path and a post-path.
Oh, yeah.
Well, any gate that has a pre-path and a post-path has a common ground. So there's a ground loop between the pre-path and the post-path, and you need to break it with an ISO transformer.
Yeah, I've just had this problem recently with a customer. It was squealing like a banshee, and
get the Lely ISO, whatever the ISO transformer from Lely is, and just put it in there because it's high impedance. It'll work with anything, and it will fix the ground loop. And there you go. And it doesn't squeal. High gain, it'll squeal, but in the 800 mode on the amp, it doesn't squeal. Well, that's because it's lower gain.
Yeah,
it's a ground loop
sensitive.
still.
All of that, man. I never understood why a lot of those noise gates, which are keyed off the guitar,
I don't
they're not
understand why they don't make it right.
Fortin
It
did.
needs to be the pre-path needs to be isolated from the post-path in the fucking pedal to begin with. It's one little transformer. They just need an ISO transformer in the pedal. It's problem solved. All they have to do is do that, and none of them do it.
Fortin did it with just a ground lift switch. You don't even need an ISO transformer.
Yeah, you do need an ISO though. To be honest, it doesn't. It doesn't always work. Doesn't always work. Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I'll be back again. Too much water.
All right. Elaine's got another super chat here. Never use solid state clipping in a mod. Well, man, that's a rabbit hole you need to go down.
Yeah, you need to try it.
Yeah,
fun.
Definitely.
It's a lot of fun.
5150. Super excited to receive my altar. Just put an order in last week. Thanks, man. I appreciate that massively.
Nice.
I do. Mark is here.
That was a while ago. He might not be here anymore, but
How are we going, mate? Yeah, well, I need to try and buzz through these. How are we going for time, guys? 2.5 hours. Okay.
All good.
I'm just trying to see what else is in this chat here. Guts of the Mark II C+ reissue. I've seen photos of it.
you have?
Same.
I haven't seen the photos yet.
Look, I don't know about a complete redesign. I mean, using radial caps now, which is moved into the modern era, but the layout and stuff. I mean, I'm no expert on Mark series amps, but kind of looks pretty similar to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've worked on probably 3 or 4 Mark series in the last 6 months or 7 months or so, I think. And I mean, I think the layout of the original was totally okay. I mean, yeah, they're noisy amps, but they just seem to work. Like, it's sort of like maybe it's just a lucky coincidence that layout just seemed to work. But yeah, they're cool. I don't know how much different the new one is in terms of actual, if they really did redesign the layout or not, or if it's just I
mean, there were certainly at least a few guys that were reporting oscillation issues with that. Maybe they just had an unlucky amp, but
the originals did it too.
Yeah. Part of the charm, I guess.
Have you seen the Guts shot of it?
Yeah, we're just saying, yeah.
It's basically like not a lot of improvements.
Looks similar.
No, I thought the board material kind of looked a bit cheaper. I don't know.
Seems like they could have done better, but hey, at least finally Ola came through with videos that actually sounded right.
Yeah,
he like fucking ripped it when he did his.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of one right way to set those amps to get that sound. It's not hard to do. But
I thought also Ola's explanation of how to set it in his video was amazing, because he really kind of explains the whole circuit and why.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you saw the whole video, but he explains the whole circuit and why you set it a certain way.
No, I haven't watched the whole thing.
And that made a lot of sense, actually more sense than I've ever actually thought about. I mean, I always would set it that way anyway, but the way he explained it in the end, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just saying I worked on a lot of those over the last 6-7 months, like the originals, and not the two.
Sorry.
Dan, was that
It was
like restoration work, or were you actually modding them?
Not modding them, but like restoring them.
Restoration work.
These were Mark IIIs, but like the fully loaded Mark III with everything in it, blue stripe. I mean the main layout and everything is pretty damn similar. They didn't really change much.
Oh yeah, very similar. Mark III.
And there's one real great way to set those things, in my opinion. And it's pretty much how Ola explained it. Yeah,
Makes
but
sense.
they're cool.
Yeah, for instance. Yeah, for sure.
Hi guys, happy new year. Thanks, man. What are your opinions on the best sleeper Marshall lamp to mod? Is it the vintage modern?
Probably.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's surely not a 900.
No, I've been there a few times.
No, we don't want to do that.
Oh, I got
Well,
one. The MiG 50,
Yeah.
the new MiG 50.
Yeah, but
The new-
that's not a
it's
Marshall.
so cheap. Nah, but it's
Yeah.
it's a plexi circuit. It's a
There's a
basement.
new MiG 50, a new one.
Yeah, the Electro Harmonics one.
What's it like inside? Good
It's
build?
fine. It's
Is
fine.
it as fucked up as the originals?
No, it's better. It's better. But there is an MK2 version. So they put this out a couple years ago, and there's an MK2 that I think was just within the last couple years, and it's the one you want. Like everything in that, they fixed all the issues that the first one had.
Oh my god, the first one was epically fucking crazy. The pots would almost fall apart in your hand.
What? Oh, the original, the Russian one.
Yeah, the original Russian one. I mean, pretty much straight away, just like gut the pots. I mean, the circuit board would work fine. The tube sockets, everything that would work fine. But just gut the pots, replace all the pots. Just throw that whole thing out the window because those pots sucked. And yeah, you can mod them great, actually. You know, you can mod old trainers great too.
Yeah.
You ever do that one?
I've never done it, but I've seen a lot of people have good results.
Trainer Bassmaster, man, here in the US for sure.
There must be a lot of them in the US. I was gonna say.
Yeah, you never see them here.
No, you wouldn't see them there.
No.
Those are cool. I mean, they can be great. Actually, they're really well made, really good transformers and stuff. There's two versions of that amp though. One's a higher plate voltage, like too high, and one's a lower plate voltage, and the lower plate voltage one is better. I mean, lower as in normal, like 450-ish range. Versus higher one being like 600 volt range.
Oh yeah, so like those old Laneys and stuff.
Yeah, the higher ones work fine if you put like KT88s in them.
Yeah,
or something. But yeah, like the old Laneys. Yeah,
man,
the Laneys can be great. Like just use it on a variac and knock it down to like at least 100. Well, here in the US, at least 100 volts. So
yeah,
knock it down 20 volts wherever you are. But those Laneys can sound awesome though. I mean, they can be really cool. Have you ever modded one?
Yeah, British amps. I mean, like all those old ones are great for this
have
stuff.
Have you modded one of those that with the high play voltage?
No, I've not modded one of those.
Oh,
I've modded a bunch of Laneys, but not one of those yet.
It can be great. It can be great, but you like I said, you have to like just knock it down in variac. But
yeah,
right.
There's loads of amps from that era that are great from the UK. You know, like the old Carlsbro amps.
Yeah. Partridge transformers and
like Sound City amps, Sims Watts.
Yeah.
All of those. They're really, really like beasts of amps. I mean, they're powerful as hell.
Yeah, they're cool.
Way louder than like plexis and things, you know, crazy loud.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I've worked on a bunch of those old Laneys for people. There's some really easy little simple mods you can do to even the stock circuit.
Yeah.
That just even if you want to use it in a kind of a stock mode, you can tighten it up a lot from what it is stock.
Yeah, and more furry and round in like stock.
I mean, even if you just shrink the first coupling cap considerably low in those Laneys, like to 500 picofarad maybe, and just leave it. Other than that, it will sound awesome.
It's just a JCM 800 with like an extra gain
stage. No, it's like a plexi basically.
Earlier than that one. Yeah. It's the earlier one than that. It's literally like just a plexi.
Yeah, it's
I
like
think the one you're thinking of is the Pro Tube lead.
Yeah.
That one I've modded a bunch of those. They're really, really cool.
That was
bass
my
sounds-
first. That was my first tube head I ever owned. It was a Pro Tube lead.
I had
Nice.
a Pro Tube lead too.
In stock form, I don't like them, but modded, they're great. Great mod platforms.
The Pro Tube lead, the original one was an 800.
Yeah, that was
That's
the one.
not
I
the,
did.
right. The
The
one
original-
I is the one I worked
The single channel
Then-
one.
Then there was an
Just
AOR version of it
without the
later.
extra gain stage and all
on. With
that.
all the
Yeah,
push pull pots on the front.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
the
I'm
Pro
talking
Tube
about.
lead, the Pro Tube lead, the original Pro Tube lead was basically an 800, but it had some push pulls also still.
Yeah.
And then it morphed into an extra gain stage of the AOR.
AOR
which
one, that's it.
It's funny because if you look at this on like a schematic, you're like, this was the predecessor to modern high gain amps.
Yeah.
Like if you just look at it like from a just architecture standpoint, you're like, oh yeah, look at that gain stage. Yeah, okay, I see. Oh yeah, and then it goes into because that was a gain stage in front of a 800 essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
A gain stage in front of an 800, because there was the first gain stage, second gain stage, and then a cold clipper stage, and then on. And, that became, that's what the first Bogner amps were, the first, the very first Bogner amps were, the snorkeler kind of thing, with the plate driven tone stack. But the later ones, like the brown channel of the Shark, it's kind of like a Jose front end cascaded into a GSM 800.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at it on paper, that's
cool,
that's
cool
kind of what it is.
Yeah.
It's a cool sound. Dave had to run. So great show, guys. I hope 2025 brings you all health and prosperity. Sounds like a lot of great innovations coming soon. Got to run. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Thanks, man.
Ian wants Dave to design a 100-watt late 70s JMP model with switching from 100 to 50 to 25 and all the improvements you would include. Sounds like fun.
So the late 70s JMP model. So what is late 70s?
I know.
So is that a
JMP
4-input amp or is that a
master volume,
amp?
non-master volume? Yeah.
So if that's a master volume amp, so you're talking late 70s. So 78 master volume. So like my Fawn, that's sort of pictured up in the corner here.
It's a 2203, isn't it?
Yeah. See my nice ugly wood amp below that?
Yeah. What's that? Yeah.
So that is an amp I've owned forever. It was everything known to mankind over the years, and recently restored. It's a 69 Marshall super lead.
Sweet.
It doesn't have the original power transformer, but it does have an original output transformer, and it has the right voltage power transformer. Let's get that right. And it's ugly as fuck. You can't really tell from this picture, but it's
we like
hideous,
that,
man.
We like that.
So it was when I first got it, it was a Retolexed 69 that was in orange Tolex, but it was in like the elephant orange Tolex.
Yeah.
It was kind of ugly. It wasn't really done that well. So at some point in time in my life, I just ripped the Tolex off, and it was bare wood. And years ago, I made an amp with Bruce Egnetter called the Dual Tone, which was a plexi and a Fender front end in a Marshall back end. That we made a long time ago. And this was the first prototype for that. And it had been everything under the sun over the years. Like literally it was in pieces in my garage, right? Like I had the original circuit board was still there, but the transformers were all out and everything was a mess. And then I was like, I want to restore this. and I bought a old PA head from somewhere that had original plexi output transformer in it, and I could steal a ton of parts from. So I think bought it for like $1,500, and then I stole the output transformer, stole the choke, stole like half the wire in it, and stole all the mustard caps and everything, because this didn't have anything anymore. It was just a disaster. And then I had a friend of mine that was working down at our factory. This guy Miko, he actually restored it for me. I just paid him to do it because I would never ever get around to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know Dan. I'm sure you know Shea. I'm sure you know Jason.
Yeah.
Projects for yourself.
Oh, dude.
Never ever. Just get this out of the way. They will never happen.
No.
Yeah.
You will never do them.
No.
Even if you have the best intentions in the world, you'll never do it for yourself.
So true, man.
Because some other paying job is in its way, and I gotta make, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, and you'll just never get it done.
No.
Always.
And so fortunately, he's an extremely neat builder, and I'm like, you want to rebuild this for me? I'll pay you whatever you want. Just do it. Here's all the parts, and here's all the everything, and I just paid him to do it, and it wasn't that much money, it was fine. And then I got, and then I maybe I did some final tweaks myself in the end, and it was just like, this is great. Let's find some other projects for you too.
we all need one of those.
I mean, we need that guy. We need that guy, right?
We
need that guy, and
send him this way.
Well, it was interesting because this guy Carl Popik in Vegas I mentioned before, who's a great, amazing tech. A while back, he sent me a Soldano preamp. He goes, "Can you just mod this for me? Can you mod this, like the center channel and stuff for me, like you did for Michael Nielsen?" He goes, "I know I could do it myself, but I will never, ever, ever get to it. It'll just sit here for the rest of its life until I die." Yeah,
The way it goes.
and I'm like, sure, man, no problem. I'll do it for you. I'll do that. And like, I kind of got the idea from him. I'm like going, yeah, I could pay someone else to do this for me.
This is it, man. Bobby Devil, thanks for the super chat, brother. Dave,
Yes.
is there going to be a Fortis Mars head, or is the new Jose head taking its place?
It doesn't take its place because there's some interesting things in the Fortis Mars head that didn't really exist in any other head. Will there be a Fortis Mars head? Yes, there will be. Probably a very limited little small run of them, but there will be. Yeah.
Cool.
And
Cool.
I'm doing one for Richard as we speak, as long as I can get it done in the next week or two.
Like a recreation of that amp because he sold that amp, didn't he?
Yeah, like a recreation prototype that you can take on tour.
Yeah, cool.
As long, although it's a little crazy around here right now with all the fires and everything, and
yeah. Thanks for the super chat. No question there, but I think maybe this is your question here. Have you guys ever seen Bob? I don't know how to pronounce that. Amps.
I know that name. Who is that? I know that name.
Familiar. Name looks familiar.
Name looks familiar. I know who that is, but who is it exactly? Please.
US based or?
Yes, I think so. Please fill us in on that. Or I got to do a search. Who's doing a search first?
I'm looking.
Trainer? No. He's getting it. Come on.
I don't know. They look like
I'm looking through the chat. The next topic.
They kind of look like the satellite amps.
Someone else.
Google search will tell you.
It's
Yeah.
not a copy. Mm,
Oh yeah. Okay.
I can't tell what it is. It's got there's like 2 knobs on it.
No, but like, who is he?
Based where?
New York, maybe.
Okay.
Doesn't really say. Somewhere in the States. Yeah.
No, well, this got to be like.
Looks like New York.
All right.
Website doesn't say.
Bob. No, I don't think it's like he designed something for someone.
Class A amps.
Oh no, he has a website. Okay, but he did.
Love
Should
what
we
Bruce
call-
said.
Let's just call him right now.
Get him on the phone.
Someone call him and report back.
Hey.
He's probably watching right now.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know about that one. We'll see. Hey Dave, looking forward to hearing the Evil Twin.
Huh?
Twin.
Is that? Twin. What is that?
Twin sister?
Yeah, derivative of the twin sister. I don't know.
News to you.
Carrying the evil twin. I don't know.
Looks like you found a name for your next amp. Anyway.
Evil twin. Okay. Well, it's funny. There's amps that are sitting like that are sort of done that haven't been brought to light ever. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
I might have the name now.
But this is it.
Yeah.
Getting a good name. That's
The
the
evil
hard part.
twin. There
Didn't
we
they
go.
call that?
That's the new name. In
But
fact, I literally have an amp that is exactly what you named it.
There you go.
Well,
Didn't
I
they
mean,
call-
it's not evil yet, but it can be evil.
It's just
But it is
the
a twin.
It's just called
It is
the
a twin
at the moment.
It is a
I
twin.
think they called that there was an evil twin. Didn't they call that?
Yeah, there
like
was
the
an evil
80s
twin, like twin reverb, that was called
Yeah,
an evil twin.
had red
but-
knobs on it.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, I had one.
Oh
of those.
right, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. Joe saying enjoying the Q&A. Have a drink on me. Thanks, Joe. Well,
Cheers.
we've had it.
Yeah.
At least Dan and I
No.
have, or at least
Good.
maybe I've had more. Oh,
yeah.
Dan finished the beer. Now he's got to
Well,
work on the.
No, it was whiskey.
Oh, that was whiskey.
Yeah.
Now you just got to drink straight from the bottle, Dan.
Yeah.
That's just like straight up.
This is my. I think this
There
is my
you go.
favorite
That's
night.
true rock and roll, right?
Hey,
There we
rock
go.
and roll.
Cheers.
Bruce as well. I left for dinner and came back, and you're still here.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's going, when we're going to dinner?
Yeah. I think we're nearly through this
I think we're about done. Yeah.
this chat, guys. I'm just searching.
He's like, hurry up.
Yeah. Anything else in here that we should hit on?
I think we got it all, man.
Yeah, we're good.
Thanks, man. I'll just acknowledge that super chat. Thanks, man. The 94 Twin Amp is nicknamed the Evil Twin.
Oh, okay, it's a '90s version.
Mhm.
Right on.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, man, fuck, we nearly did 3 hours. Marathon effort.
That was simple too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. So thanks for everyone that threw in with a super chat. I'll collate all of that. At
We
the
will
end of it.
donate
We'll
that to some good
donate that to
cause.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got
he's the guy that did the Sean Lane amps.
okay, that's what that is a reference to.
Yes.
The Evil Twin.
Yes.
No, that other guy.
No, the good
Yeah.
Bob. Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still.
I don't
none the
know a lot
wiser.
about it, but
something to look at, I guess. Dave, if you can think of, or we can talk about this when we jump off, but if you can think of a good charity that you can recommend, man, let me know, and we'll get that organized.
Yeah. I don't know yet. Let me figure that out because it's all so new. Everything's like,
Yeah,
I know Pete had a good one in the Humane Society in Pasadena or Altadena or something.
Yep.
Because there's so many animals also that have been displaced,
for sure, man.
and I've seen some terrible pictures and things of animals that are burned and things, and it's just terrible. Oh my God, it's awful.
Yeah.
So if you're an animal lover of any way, shape, or form, that's just frightening.
Yeah, man, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
All right.
but there might be some other avenues too, but we'll figure it out for sure.
All right.
Hope it
Well,
comes
thanks
to
everyone
everyone's-
for tuning in on either your Monday morning if you're in this part of the world, or your Sunday afternoon, evening. And we'll see you sometime soon, I guess. Everyone just hang on the line and I'll
Sure thing.
hang
Thanks,
this up.
guys.
Yeah,
Cheers,
thank you. Cheers.
Later, guys.